What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 11DF Chapter 271 The Madness of TNG Village, for subscription. The war that took place in the land of Soup was in the expectation of Cloud Shinobi Village. They would never have imagined that they would enter a small country like before, but suffered such a strong block in the small country, it was like a fantasy. Likewise, no one would believe it until such a thing actually happened. For Da Ninja Village, a small country is a place where people can pass freely. The previous 3 Ninja World Wars have proved this. This is the case in the country of rain, the country of grass, and the country of soup, whether it is Konoha or Cloud Shinobi, none of them would find it a problem. To be honest, this time the war between Konoha and Tien Village, if it wasn't for the border between the land of fire and the land of fields, and if there was a small country between the two countries, then this effect would definitely become a battlefield. And Cloud Shinobi thinks like this, between the country of Tien and the country of thunder, across the country of soup and the 157, country of frost, across the country of frost, Cloud Shinobi directly enters the country of soup, and then goes to there was Tien Jiguo before, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with this route, and the small country did not dare to object at this time. But it happens that they are facing Tien Jiguo this time, and it is destined that their move will suffer unbearable consequences and costs. As it turned out, the result was indeed beyond the reach of Cloud Shinobi Village. The team of more than 300 people was attacked by an unknown enemy almost immediately after entering the country of Tang. These enemies rushed from all directions, and observed their every move carefully and clearly. Cloud Shinobi felt that every move he made seemed to be completed under the surveillance of the opponent, without the slightest it's a secret. In fact, the outcome of such a battle was doomed from the very beginning. No matter how virtuous Cloud Shinobi is, he still has to suffer the bitter fruit of defeat when he encounters such an enemy. In the whole battle, basically from the very beginning, Tien Nomura's side was firmly in control, and they didn't give Cloud Shinobi's ninjas the slightest chance. Although it is still not as exaggerated as the full Genin, the advantages of equipment, especially the special ninja equipment such as white goggles, and other monitoring of the battlefield situations such as surveillance bugs, make Cloud Shinobi there is no chance of a turnaround. Advertisement at the beginning of the battle, Cloud Shinobi fell into a disadvantage. No matter how strong they were, a battle of this level could not be solved by individual blood and courage. The battle lasted for more than 3 hours. The battlefield selected by Tien Jimura was in a mountain and river. After the war, 6 hilltops in this mountain and river were wiped out, large areas of forests were destroyed, and the entire area was destroyed. 24 deep pits with a diameter of more than 70 meters appeared, and there was an extra earth wall that was more than 700 meters long. There were many leftovers from other battlefields. 67 people were killed and more than 90 people were seriously injured. The result of the battle was that the ninjas in Cloud Shinobi Village were almost wiped out, and less than 10 people escaped. To cause such a victory, Tien Jimura is actually proud enough. Looking at the entire ninja world, even Konoha couldn't do it, but Tien Jimura did it. However, Shi Shangyang was not very satisfied with this result. Cloud Shinobi sent more than 300 people, and Tien Jikun sent a total of 400 people. The number is absolutely dominant, but even so, TNG 67 people died in the village, and among the more than 90 people who were seriously injured, at least 1/3 lost the possibility of continuing to serve as ninjas. The loss of this battlefield village was almost 100 people. 400 against 300, with a loss of 100 or so people, almost completely annihilating the opponent. The battle loss ratio of 1 to 3 was indeed a remarkable achievement, but Shi Shangyang was indeed not very satisfied. You must know that this battlefield village is the one with the absolute advantage no matter whether it is equipped or reported, but there is still such a loss. I have to say that Cloud Shinobi's ninjas are almost all lunatics. The kind of lifeless style of play in the game really made the fledgling ninjas like Tien Village feel terrified. For this, Shi Shangyang did not blame anyone. Even after the war, he mainly praised him. After seeing the madness of Cloud Shinobi, he believed that these newbies who had been baptized by the war could grow up quickly. There is no way to do this. Even if you have an advantage, there is no way to make up for it in terms of experience. Moreover, it has not been more than 10 years since TNG Village was established. The result, in fact, can already be proud of. In a battle of this level, the news cannot be concealed, especially when one side is Cloud Shinobi. The news spreads faster, of course. This is also due to the role of Tien Jimura to help fuel the flames. When the news of this battle spread in the ninja world, it shocked the entire ninja world. Advertisement: no one could have imagined that Tien Nomura was able to open up another front while fighting Konoha, and the opponent was Cloud Shinobi, a virtuous Genin village, and in the end, he even managed to win Cloud Shinobi 300. The multi-person team was almost wiped out. No matter how you looked at it, it seemed like talking in a dream. Cloud Shinobi was naturally reluctant to admit it, and at the same time was extremely annoyed, and without any hesitation, formally declared war on Tien Village, with a posture of never-ending death. Seeing this situation, Konoha was immediately happy. Although she was shocked by the result of this battle in Tien Jimura, she was more vigilant about it, but at this time, someone who was not afraid of death ran out to share the pressure on herself. It's a good thing to look at. On Konoha's side, Nara Shihisa judged that Tien Nomura definitely wanted to establish his prestige with this war, so the victim of prestige could be Konoha or Cloud Shinobi, and he was more inclined to the latter. It seems that Tien Nomura is more keen to take action on Cloud Shinobi, otherwise Konoha's frontline base would not have 3.1 at all. In the face of Cloud Shinobi, it was the declaration of war, and Tien Nomura's response was also very direct. They did not shrink their defenses, instead, they mobilized another manpower from TNG village. The more than 600 people of the people directly attacked the Kingdom of Frost, and planned to use the Kingdom of Frost as a springboard to directly attack the Kingdom of Thunder. It is precisely because of this kind of speculation that Nara Shikahisa and Konoha are relieved. Although they will not relax their vigilance, at least with this kind of speculation, the pressure in their hearts can be a little less. As for why, it can be seen from the results of the war in the country of Tang. Please subscribe. This is the smell of war. Cloud Shinobi acted like a lunatic, but Tien Nomura's reaction this time was even crazier. There was a posture that you hit me and I immediately rushed to your house. I don't know how many people were stunned. The war between Tien Nomura and Konoha is still in a stalemate. The two sides seem to have a tacit understanding at this time. Neither of them took the initiative to send many people to attack the other side, but waited silently for something. Chapter 272 Cloud Shinobi has become a joke in the ninja world. Please subscribe. The Fourth Ninja World War did not break out, because Tien Nomura's reaction in the face of Cloud Shinobi's declaration of war really shocked the entire ninja world. No one dares to believe that in the current ninja world, there are actually people who can be so crazy, especially if the other party is only a little-known ninja village. They dare to stare at the pressure of Cloud Shinobi village to declare war, and come to a reverse charge, directly into the country of thunder. Is this not going to save yourself a life? People who heard the news basically came up with this idea. There are a group of lunatics in the land of thunder, and these lunatics are the ninjas of Cloud Shinobi village, which is basically a consensus in the ninja world. Even Konoha, the strongest in the ninja world, is reluctant to provoke the people of Cloud Shinobi village unless it is necessary, but now, a ninja village that is even crazier than Cloud Shinobi village has appeared, and Tien No village has directly become during this time, the hotspot in the ninja world, and it is still the kind of headline. But it's inexplicable, because of the reason why Cloud Shinobi's leading team was defeated in Tangzhiguo before. People who know 14 these, inexplicably have more confidence in Tien Nomura. They don't know why they have this idea, but according to the record concluded that they can still do it. The news that came out next was truly shocking and unbelievable. Tien Jikun's team, passing through the Kingdom of Frost, did not encounter any decent resistance along the way, and directly reached the area where the Kingdom of Frost and the Kingdom of Thunder meet. Here, they finally encountered the true defensive force of Cloud Shinobi village. Because the leading team was crushed and almost wiped out, Cloud Shinobi village also knew that Tien Nomura was difficult to deal with. Even when they dealt with such a tough enemy, no matter how crazy they were much more awake at this time. After Jishin village sent a team of 600 people to rush towards them, they immediately dispatched people to defend the border. They are true warriors, and it's true that they like to be impulsive sometimes, but the people of Cloud Shinobi village are not fools. They know that they are facing a strong enemy now, Brain. So in this case, what Cloud Shinobi's people have to do first is to defend, not to attack recklessly. Facts have proved that they are right in this idea, but the reality has hit them in the face. Advertisement because of the contact between the two sides on the border, they suffered huge losses. They didn't know where the Tien Jikun team went, where the surveillance bugs were placed. For this reason, among the ninjas in Tien village, a special category was born, that is, the insects that imitate the Konoha Aburame clan. It's just that this kind of bug messenger is different from the Aburame family. The bug messenger of Tien village doesn't need to put the bug in his body to cultivate, but uses a self-shaped human puppet as a petri dish for the bug. The advantage of this method is that you can achieve the same effect of cultivating bugs without damaging your own body. The disadvantage is that when manipulating bugs, you need to control the human puppet first, and then let the human puppet control these bugs, which will be a lot of trouble. However, the main job of the insect envoys in TNG village is not to fight, but to scout, so they don't need to be very precise in controlling the insects, as long as they can release the insects and then take them back. It is precisely because of this that the surveillance worms can move forward with a large army and control the surrounding situation in real time. Under such circumstances, the first collision between the two sides on the border of the Land of Thunder, Tien Nomura just dispatched less than 200 people, and directly destroyed a base of Cloud Shinobi on the border. You must know that the number of ninjas in this base is no less than 300, which is already quite a force for Cloud Shinobi. Is Cloud Shinobi strong? That is undoubtedly strong. Cloud Shinobi, one of the 5 great ninja villages in the ninja world, is inherently belligerent. They have always invaded others, and have never seen anyone who dared to take the initiative to invade them, but there are people who do it now, and those who did so were successful. The people of Cloud Shinobi admit that they underestimate Tien village. Even after losing more than 300 people in the first invasion of the Land of Soup, their reaction seems to be a little overbearing now, so the base is located at the border. The demise of it completely woke them up, and at the same time sounded the alarm for them. Tien village's team did not lose too much in this battle. After defeating the Cloud Shinobi border base, they did not have any intention of staying, so they directly entered the border of the Land of Thunder, and went further inward, not a short distance. Advertisement when the news came out, needless to say, it immediately caused a stir in the ninja world. From the outbreak of the war between Tan Nomura and Konoha, it can be said that the attention of the entire ninja world was focused on both sides, and when Cloud Shinobi sent his forces to be defeated by Tan Nomura, the attention of the ninja world was diverted, especially when Tien Village sent a manpower to reverse charge. It attracted the attention of almost everyone. When what everyone was looking forward to happened, the thoughts of normal people were still unbelievable. They had a hard time believing that Tien Nomura had really achieved this. They actually defeated Cloud Shinobi's guarding force and rushed directly to the ground, into the country of thunder. Just like a dream. Now Cloud Shinobi Village is about to become a joke in the ninja world. They can't invade the country of Tien, but they are taught by Tien Village to behave, and the other party is obviously crazier than Cloud Shinobi. It doesn't matter what kind of ninja village you are. Anyway, it is clear that 157 wants revenge. Of course, it is obviously impossible for 600 people to defeat the Cloud Shinobi people, and Tien Nomura does not really want to destroy the Cloud Shinobi village, when the Fourth Ninja World War will definitely break out. Don't go too deep. As long as Cloud Shinobi is uncomfortable, and Cloud Shinobi is exhausted, it's a victory for Tanokura. Approaching the war in this way, to be honest, the outcome of Cloud Shinobi was already doomed from the time they chose to invade the land of the land. Please subscribe, because in this case, Tien Nomura will get the prestige they want, and the prestige that Cloud Shinobi loses is not something they need to care about. When entering another country, all you have to do is to destroy the enemy city. This is a very common behavior in the War of the Ninja World. In the past wars in those small countries, the Great Ninja Village also did this, so Tien Nomura's move is not surprising. So knowing what Shi Shangyang was thinking, Orochimaru naturally knew what to do. And the most crucial point is that they actually did this, which is the most unbelievable thing. However, at this time, Tien Jikun did not choose to go further, but after destroying a town in the Land of Thunder, he hid in the surroundings. Chapter 273 Black Zetsu's attention, please subscribe. The Land of Thunder, the battlefield where Tien Village and Cloud Shinobi Village fought. The roar of the Chunin technique on the battlefield and the flames were everywhere. Even if it was far away, one could feel the terrifying scene under the war, and the ground trembled slightly because of this. Obviously, the war between the two sides seemed to be particularly intense. On a hilltop far away from the battlefield, two figures suddenly appeared. One person appeared from the distorted space, as if it was squeezed out of the space, while the other person slowly rose from the ground. The former wears a special vortex mask with only his right eye exposed, while the man beside him has his head wrapped in a giant pitcher plant. Identity of Obito. Are the people in Tanokura crazy? Why would they choose to attack Cloud Shinobi at this time? The one who speaks is White Zetsu, the pitcher plant is White Zetsu, and the other half of the black area on his face is Black Zetsu. The masked man was naturally Uchiha Obito. He put up a pergola and said in a strange tone. Who knows, now it seems that there is finally a ninja village that is even crazier than Cloud Shinobi. For us, it should be a good thing. His personality has been maintained very well. Over the past few years, Black Zetsu has no doubts, but trusts him more. It's not necessarily a good thing, it may be a variable. In short, after this time, we need to shift our focus to this Tien village. The information obtained from Konoha seems to be their leader. That Konoha the betrayal of Shi Shangyang. By the way, how much do you know about him? This time, it was Black Zetsu who spoke. Compared with White Zetsu, Black Zetsu's voice was more dull and his tone was slightly more solemn. Uchiha Obito subconsciously wanted to scratch his head, but only when he raised his hand halfway did he realize that it was not good to do so, so he took off his mask and revealed his half-destroyed face. The scars on his face made him look hideous. That guy, when he was in the ninja school, never showed any talent, everything seemed ordinary, it's hard to imagine that he can reach this level. This half-truth is half-truth. The truth is that Uchiha Obito really thinks this way. Even now, he can't figure out why Shi Shangyang has changed so much from when he was in the ninja school. Advertisement. The fake part is that he said this on purpose, in order to interfere with Black Zetsu's judgment. Hearing this, Black Zetsu was slightly silent, and then said, Then Obito, you'd better find a way to infiltrate into the village of Tien, to collect information over there. I doubt that the master might have some special power in the hands of the other party, which is very important. It may affect our follow-up plans. Uchiha Obito nodded slightly and said, I know, I also really want to know the secret of that guy. Then again, is that guy really the one who was chosen by Madara before me? Why did he give up in the end? Black Zetsu didn't hide it, saying, I don't know the specific situation, but after Shi Shangyang entered the battlefield in the Third Ninja World War, he was actually noticed by Madara very quickly, and White Zetsu was already sent to follow him at that time. It's just that he is very alert, and the character he shows is not the type that is very controlled. Maybe because of this, Madara will choose to give up. Uchiha Obito snorted coldly. Maybe it's Madara's guy. You feel like you can't control that guy at all? Hearing the sound, Black Zetsu lowered his tone and said, What do you mean by saying this? Are you questioning Madara-sama's ability? 35. Uchiha Obito chuckled twice, and even sneered inwardly. If he didn't know Black Zetsu's true purpose, he would have been deceived by this guy. He said, I just felt that in the end it was up to me to execute the plan, and Madara should have contacted me earlier. Ha ha, Black Zetsu also chuckled twice, but didn't say much. He didn't have any doubts about Uchiha Obito, but he just felt that Uchiha Obito was a little over the top when he said this. Then, I'll go back and inform Yahiko and the others, and let them pay attention to Tien Village. Just so, I can also let them contact Tien Village in the official name of Cloud Shinobi Village. Maybe they can get some necessary information. I'll leave it to you here. Now, pay attention to arrange time to infiltrate the Tien Village, and make sure to find out what happened there. Black Zetsu said again. Advertisement. Uchiha Obito nodded slightly. Don't worry, I know what to do. Then, I'll leave it to you. Black Zetsu said. His body slowly sank to the ground, his eyes were still fixed on the battlefield in front of him, and he finally said in a low voice. The power of Tien Nomura cannot be underestimated. It seems that this war is very important. It may be that Tien Nomura will achieve the final victory. Uchiha Obito didn't say anything more. After Black Zetsu had completely left, he put on his mask again, took another look at the battlefield, and found that Tien Nomura still had the upper hand. He shook his head slightly, and said to himself that his body turned into a vortex and disappeared. Then let's go to Tien Village first. Therefore, under the circumstance of being restrained everywhere, the scale of war did not tilt in their side, but instead had an intensifying trend. Shi Shangyang did not go to the battlefield in person. He had left the war affairs to Orochimaru, and he did not waste time in this regard except for the necessary attention. But they were horrified to discover that even if they had an advantage in numbers, it was still difficult to drive out the power of Tien Village, but because of the various actions of the Tien Village ninjas, they were delayed in ordering here. Please subscribe. In this battle, both sides invested more than half of their manpower. Tien Jikun sent more than 400 people. Cloud Shinobi Village has more people, and the number of people doubled directly. The number of more than 800 people was still unable to crush Tien Jikun, and even can only be flat. For these, Uchiha Obito still knows a little bit, but now he has a question to ask Shi Shangyang, so he decided to go back. The battlefield here is the third collision between the forces of Tanokura and Cloud Shinobi Village. This collision happened outside the town that was destroyed by the Tanokura ninjas. Cloud Shinobi sent more forces to come. He wants to defeat the power that invaded the land of Tien Village in one fell swoop. In fact, if they didn't know Orochimaru's order, they deliberately tried to hold back Cloud Shinobi's power, and if they really pressed all the power, they would be able to directly disperse the reinforcements from Cloud Shinobi Village this time, instead of letting them fight until now. Even if they are even equal, it is only an appearance. The people of Cloud Shinobi Village can't imagine that their every move seems to be controlled by the enemy master. No matter what choice they make, they still can't get rid of it. This feeling. Chapter 274. Want to rebel against Kakashi? Please subscribe. The battle situation on the front line was still fierce, but in the village of Tien, it was peaceful. The war did not affect Tien Jikun at all. No matter from which direction, Tien Jikun still maintained the rhythm of the reason and gradually developed. The people in the city were the same as before, calmly doing their own thing. In the chief's office, Shi Shangyang looked at the intelligence summary about the war in the past few days and found that there was nothing special to deal with, so he calmed down and prepared to focus on other things. As the leader of a village, especially a large village like Tien Jikun, even though the work has been subdivided many times, there are still many things that Shi Shangyang needs to handle personally, and each of them is related to the development of the village. Until there is no real successor, it is inevitable that these matters will be handled by Shi Shangyang himself. Just like other great ninja villages, even during the War of Ninja World, the shadows are very good to really get involved in the battlefield. First, because they are the leaders of the village, they must ensure that all matters in the village will not go wrong. Second, they are themselves. The meaning of existence, they will not appear on the battlefield until the last moment of the village's life and death. Shi Shangyang is also in the same situation. Facing the war with Konoha and Cloud Shinobi, he really does not need him to come forward. After all, if I really want to say it, Tien Nomura is much older than Konoha and Cloud Shinobi. The other party's Shadow 157 didn't appear, so he appeared at this time, obviously a little sorry for his identity. In the office, before Shi Shangyang started to deal with other things, he saw the appearance of the large space vortex from the corner of his eye, and knew that this was Obito's return. Why did you come back at this time? Why didn't you come earlier? Lin finally agreed to you, Shi Shangyang said. Uchiha Obito sat down on the sofa, poured himself a cup of tea, and said, I also want to come back early, but your B's plan makes me unable to get out. It's not that I don't know how insidious Black Zetsu is, I can't show my flaws at this time. The plan to start a war with Konoha is not a sudden, but it is indeed a somewhat unexpected situation. In this case, Uchiha Obito naturally, must stay by Black Zetsu's side first and maintain his character well. After all, it is a period of turmoil in the ninja world to some extent. The ghost knows that Black Zetsu got any ideas. The plot has been changed a long time ago, so Shi Shangyang also has to pay attention to many things. Although he still has the advantage of foresight, it can't be too wavering. Advertisement. Fortunately, Uchiha Obito knows what he should do, and he has been doing it well over the years, otherwise Shi Shangyang would not be at ease. Pull away. Shi Shangyang just smiled when he heard the words, and then said, Is this time because of the marriage with Lin? Don't worry, I have already made arrangements, and I will take care of it for you as soon as you come back. 35. Hearing this, Uchiha Obito couldn't help showing a smile on his face, but after a while he shook his head slightly and sighed. Hey, let's wait, because of this war, the Black Zetsu guy started to let me collect information about the village. Are you sure you want to reveal your identity at this time? 39. Shi Shangyang said with a smile. That guy Black Zetsu already knows information about me? Uchiha Obito nodded and asked, so, what do you think? I'm a little confused about revealing your identity at this time. 39. Shi Shangyang stood up, sat down on the sofa opposite Uchiha Obito, poured himself a cup of tea, and then smiled. Did you forget something? What? Uchiha Obito wondered. Shi Shangyang pointed out the window. How long do you think the village can be hidden if it continues to develop like this? In fact, I'm sure that Black Zetsu has already been interested in Tenji-kun. You know that after all these years, Tenji-kun has in the ninja world, he has made a lot of money, and although the channels are very secretive, a suspicious guy like Black Zetsu will definitely follow the clues. And then? Uchiha Obito tilted his head. Shi Shangyang shook his head. Instead of waiting for him to find out by himself, you still have your dedication exposed. It is better to take this opportunity to expose your identity directly, and by the way, I will also allow you to reveal some information to that guy, which will instead wouldn't it be better to make you more effective on his side? After speaking, he smiled again. The village has developed to this level, and it is no longer in line with the existing interests to hide it, and the next Tenji-kun will want the prestige of the Megatron ninja world. Uchiha Obito nodded slightly, expressing understanding, but his expression was a little weird, and he asked, then what will we do in the future? If you expose it, you will have to confront that guy head-on in the future, and you are not afraid of causing him trouble, doubt? Advertisement. Shi Shangyang smiled and curled his lips. Don't worry about this, after exposing it, you can directly press it with force. Anyway, my identity is destined to be your enemy, and does he know that you are actually me? People, with such a big information gap, will be enough to do a lot of things at that time. Uchiha Obito shook his head slightly. Oh, I don't understand this. In short, you can make your own decision. Speaking of which, when I go back this time, how much information should I tell that guy about the village? 35. Shi Shangyang said directly. You can give him the information about Orochimaru and the others, just tell Black Zetsu some basic information about the village, and for the rest, let that guy figure out his own way. Uchiha Obito thought for a while, then nodded. Alright, so I won't be suspected. Shi Shangyang smiled. Don't worry, I won't put you at risk of exposure. You still think about it, it's better when you want to marry Lin, after all, you are not young anymore. Shi Shangyang said, I suggest that you still meet him, preferably someone who can develop him into us. Shi Shangyang chuckled. So, when can you be a real man? Shouldn't this kind of thing be up to you to decide? Shi Shangyang was speechless, and then said, by the way, that guy Kakashi is still in my place, are you going to see him? Uchiha Obito thought for a while, and finally shook his head. Forget it, I don't know what to say when I see him. Please subscribe. How will you know if you don't try? 35. Uchiha Obito suddenly smiled. This kind of thing, I have to discuss it with Lin. Uchiha Obito said, it's impossible, that guy won't betray Konoha. 35. I don't want it anymore, I'm afraid Lin will be unhappy. Chapter 275. The meeting between Obito and Kakashi, please subscribe. Not surprisingly, Uchiha Obito decided to meet Hitaki Kakashi in the end. In fact, Shi Shangyang is very clear about this. There is a deep bond between the two who are good friends, especially Uchiha Obito did not have this time point of blacken. Naturally will not resist meeting with Hitaki Kakashi. This time Shi Shangyang didn't accompany him because he still had a lot to deal with. As for Konoha, although he wants to kill these two elite squads, in fact it means that Shi Shangyang will not really kill them, especially Hitaki Kakashi, his existence. In Shi Shangyang's view, if it is used to deal with Konoha, maybe it will work at some point. Of course, the crux of the matter is whether this guy can be turned against. Although this possibility is very low, but who knows if you don't try it. Yagura can be persuaded by Shi Shangyang, why can't Hitaki Kakashi be persuaded by Uchiha Obito, his good friend? And another point is that, instead of disposing of these two elite squads, he was imprisoned here for a long time. How much trust can he gain from the village after he is put back? Namikaze Minato may continue to trust him, but what about Konoha's ninjas? Konoha's advisors? How much will they trust Hitaki Kakashi? At that time, even if Hitaki Kakashi refuses very firmly now, how long can he endure it as time goes by? But don't forget, his father committed suicide because of rumors in the village. Hitaki Kakashi has a natural resistance in this regard, so since Hitaki Kakashi accepted this task, it was doomed his tragedy. And Shi Shangyang has this kind of thinking as not only now, in fact, after he captured Hitaki Kakashi, he already had this kind of idea, but he didn't tell anyone, even he had expected this guy to go back. Maybe, distrusted ending. Of course, there is no need to tell Lin and Obito about this kind of thing. After all, the relationship between these two people and Hitaki Kakashi is very special, and all this is just Shi Shangyang's own speculation. It is hard to say whether it will become a reality or not. Need to say it. Tien Village, Shi Shangyang's home. Hitaki Kakashi has been living here for many days, and his personal freedom is not restricted. Even after the war, Shi Shangyang allowed him to go out, of course, he can't leave the village. So during this period of time, outside of the chakra and acupuncture points sealed in his body, his life is no different from that of a normal person. Speaking of which, Hitaki Kakashi and Shi Shangyang are not really good friends, but they are classmates after all, and there is also the relationship between Lin and Obito, so Shi Shangyang still treats Hitaki Kakashi special. Advertisement for example, the companions who came to carry out the mission with him were not as lucky as him, and are still imprisoned in a special prison, with no chance to go out at all. The way of special treatment is to let Hitaki Kakashi have the opportunity to visit, one is to reassure him, and the other is to let those people know that Hitaki Kakashi's life here is better than them. This differentiation doesn't seem like much now, but after these people were put back together with Hitaki Kakashi, The method is not sinister, but rather upright. Shi Shangyang also expected that Hitaki Kakashi will definitely visit his comrades. As long as he does this, he will return to Konoha later, and he will eventually tie a knot between him and Konoha. Thorns. Yangmu is like this, in the end it depends on how much Konoha trusts him. Hitaki Kakashi got up early in the morning, prepared his own breakfast, took a book from Shi Shangyang's bookcase, and put the words, "Provide Heaven," on the cover. Needless to say, this is the one written by Jiraiya, and Shi Shangyang here is still the signature collection hardcover edition. As for why? Coincidentally, the company that published this book is TN Village. Not to mention, if you put aside the fact that he is a prisoner, Hitaki Kakashi feels that his life here is quite comfortable, with food and drink, and a hardcover version of the collection that cannot be bought in Konoha. This is much more comfortable than in Konoha. The knock on the door awoke Hitaki Kakashi, who was immersed in the world of the book, and got up to open the door. His figure froze. Yo! The people at the door raised their hands to say hello, with smiles on their faces. It was none other than Uchiha Obito. He did not wear a mask, but showed his true face. His left face was intact, with scars crisscrossing his face. His left eye was covered with a blindfold, and his right eye showed a smile. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot seeking flowers. Long time no see, Kakashi. Advertisement. As he said that, he also picked up a bottle of wine in his handle, and with a smile, he walked directly around Hitaki Kakashi and walked into the house. He has also come to Shi Shangyang's house many times. As always, he seems to start complaining subconsciously after coming in. Speaking of which, this guy Yang is obviously the leader of the village and has a lot of money at his disposal, but he just doesn't want to buy a better house for himself. No matter how you look at it, it is somewhat unnecessary, you say. He sat down on the sofa, looked at Hitaki Kakashi who was still standing at the door, stared blankly at himself, and said helplessly, "How long are you going to stand there?" Hitaki Kakashi regained his senses, closed the door and took a deep breath. His hands were trembling slightly, even though he already knew from Rin that Obito was still alive, but after meeting for real, he still couldn't control his heart. Even though he already knew that the reality was like this, he still couldn't believe it, that the companion who had been buried by the boulders he saw with his own eyes actually appeared in front of him alive. The shock still made it difficult for him to calm down. Seeing Hitaki Kakashi come over and sit down in front of him, Uchiha Obito smiled and said, "Are you surprised to see me?" Hitaki Kakashi nodded indifferently. Uchiha Obito shrugged, opened the wine, and rummaged under the coffee table with ease, and immediately took out a bag. "Huh, it's really hidden here. 9, that's a bag of snacks. I knew this guy would put food in here and have a drink together. This is the first time we've had a bar." Hitaki Kakashi did not speak. Uchiha Obito didn't care either. He took out 2 glasses from the cabinet beside him, filled them with wine, and said, "Seeing that I'm still alive, how do you feel now? It must be incredible, right? 5. Hitaki Kakashi nodded and pondered for a moment before he said solemnly, "Are you really Obito?" Uchiha Obito was slightly startled, then laughed. "You be asterisk 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 D. Are you asking this kind of question?" Chapter 276 Obito's Persuasion. Please subscribe. Uchiha Obito seemed very dissatisfied. Hitaki Kakashi asked this question. He snorted and pulled off his blindfold. He pointed at his own eye and said, Look, have you forgotten this eye?" Hearing this, Hitaki Kakashi touched his left eye subconsciously. Then I saw Uchiha Obito open his right eye slightly, and the Sharingan in the back eye socket emerge. 3 tomo quickly joined together, and instantly turned into a pattern of a 3-bladed windmill. "Well, do you believe it now?" Hitaki Kakashi froze for a moment, and after Uchiha Obito revealed the Mangekyo Sharingan, for some reason, there was a cut in his vision. What he saw with his right eye was Uchiha Obito, but with his closed left eye, there was an extra picture, and what he saw in that picture was himself sitting stunned. Wu Chi opened his left eye consciously, and Sharingan turned into a Mangekyo pattern at some point. What? Now it's Uchiha Obito's turn to wonder. He patted his head and blinked. What's going on? Why can I see myself with my left eye? At this time, he did not open his left eye, and there was an ordinary 3-tomo Sharingan in his left eye, which was installed later, but now he clearly did not open his eye, but his left eye was inexplicably extra. The picture is him. Haha, as expected of my eyes, even if they are separated, they can still send back the picture, which is amazing. Uchiha Obito nodded secretly. This time, Hitaki Kakashi completely believed that it was Uchiha Obito who was sitting in front of him. The visual change couldn't deceive anyone. Although he didn't know why, he could be sure that the 2 pairs of Sharingan had the same origin. There must be some special connection between them. Oh yes, I remember, that guy Yang seems to have said something similar, saying that it seems to be called residual vision or something. But that guy just has this guess. I have to tell him the news when the time comes. Take a look whether he can learn something from it. Don't underestimate that guy. As long as it is what he wants to do, there is almost nothing he can't do. Uchiha Obito said. Hitaki Kakashi was silent. Okay, let's not talk about that. Come, Kakashi, let's have a drink. Uchiha Obito said and raised his glass. Hitaki Kakashi sighed lightly, took off his mask and lifted the glass, and touched the glass in Uchiha Obito's hand lightly. Advertisement ding. The two looked at each other. Uchiha Obito's smile faded, Hitaki Kakashi's expression gradually became serious, and then they drank together and put down the quilt at the same time, just looking at each other like that. Silence. Time passed by, and after several minutes passed, Uchiha Obito said with a slightly complicated expression. You guy, you are still the same, you have always been such a stinky fart, it looks really unpleasant. Hitaki Kakashi ignored his words, but said calmly, you are now the enemy of the village, right? When he said the village, he was naturally referring to Konoha. An enemy? Uchiha Obito shook his head, with an inexplicable tone. I don't know either. Logically, I should still be concerned about the village, but over the years, I have seen through a lot of things, and it is quite complicated to talk about Konoha's feelings. Hitaki Kakashi frowned slightly. When I was young, I always thought that with my own abilities, I could change the village, or even the entire ninja world, but in the end I realized that I couldn't change anything, not even my own destiny. He shook his head as he spoke, his tone became heavier, and he said, it's like you, me and Lin. The fate of the three of us has never been determined by our own master, and everything now is just someone. It's just arranged in advance, and these tragedies may be our destiny. Hitaki Kakashi's expression changed slightly, and he asked in a deep voice, is it Uchiha Madara? Uchiha Obito raised his eyebrows, slightly surprised. You know this? Yes, because Lin told you that. Hitaki Kakashi nodded slightly and didn't say much. Just listen to Uchiha Obito. Everything we encountered at the beginning is indeed the hand of that guy. For my eyes, he wants me to open the Mangekyo Sharingan and then use it for him. Advertisement said to bring here, he sneered. Hey, unfortunately he doesn't know that there is that guy Yang, who has already cleaned up his plan, and saved me and Lin by the way. Speaking of this, I and Lin also want to thank Yang. That guy, if it wasn't for that guy, Lin and I really haven't seen you again one day. It's very likely that my meeting with you is the time for me to destroy the ninja world. Hitaki Kakashi didn't know what to think, and his expression was slightly stern. Obito, are you willing to go back now? He asked. Uchiha Obito was stunned when he heard the words, then he laughed dumbly, and said cheerfully. Go back? Impossible, the entire Uchiha clan has betrayed Konoha. If I go back, I will not be caught by those guys as a traitor. Not so stupid. Then he pointed at Kakashi and said, you guy used to say I was naive, how come you have become so naive now? But then again, for me now, Tien Jamura is mine. Home, here is my lover and my children, everything I care about, and the establishment of this village. I have made a lot of effort from it, compared to Konoha. What I really love now is here. Hitaki Kakashi knew that this would be the case, but he couldn't help being disappointed to hear Uchiha Obito say it. It's you, Kakashi, come and help us, here you can really use it, Uchiha Obito said. He didn't know how to persuade Hitaki Kakashi. Shi Shangyang gave him this task, he himself was not very happy, so he could only say it bluntly. Hitaki Kakashi 3.1 was stunned, then shook his head with a complicated expression. You know, it's impossible for me to betray the village. However, Uchiha Obito shrugged and filled the wineglasses of the two of them, and then said, I have said this before, but unfortunately the reality is now, so, don't promise anything lightly, because in the end you will find out, unable to do what you promised is a very painful thing. You should feel that way, right? 2 to the power of 99. Hitaki Kakashi thought of the scene where he stabbed Rin's chest with rakery on that day, and his expression darkened. I sincerely invite you, Kakashi. The ninja world is not as peaceful as you seem. In the shadow of the ninja world, there has always been a force that seeks to destroy the entire ninja world, but everyone does not know this. Uchiha Obito said solemnly. Chapter 277 Our career is great, please subscribe. Uchiha Obito's tone was cautious, his expression equally serious, and he looked Hitaki Kakashi in the eyes as he said this. It's just that the scene was a little weird. Both of them closed one eye, and now they both use one eye to look at each other. If Shi Shangyang was present in this situation, he would have to complain. Hearing this, Hitaki Kakashi frowned. He could see Uchiha Obito's serious color, but he did not agree with his proposal. You mean, Uchiha Madara? He asked. Uchiha Obito nodded, then shook his head. This time, Hitaki Kakashi was a little confused, but fortunately, Uchiha Obito said again. The person who is really doing things in the ninja world is not as simple as Uchiha Madara. If it's just him, I don't need it at all. As it is now, that guy Yang doesn't have to go out of his way to get out of Tien Village, and he will probably conquer the ninja world directly by force. So, what is it? Hitaki Kakashi asked solemnly. It's Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu? It's a name I've never heard of before, so it's no wonder that Hitaki Kaka 14 West frowned and wondered. Right. Uchiha Obito didn't hide it, but told Hitaki Kakashi what he knew, and added at the end. Otsutsuki is a race in the starry sky, and the representative figure is Otsutsuki Kagaya Hime, the goddess of Mao. She is the beginning of the ninja world chakra, because Sage of Six Paths is her son. Advertisement. The whole process stopped. Hitaki Kakashi half opened his mouth, as if he was listening to a fairy tale. It was really the things described by Uchiha Obito, which happened in a long time in the ninja world, not like reality, but more like a myth. You mean, Black Zetsu is the volitional body of Otsutsuki Kagaya? It bewitched Uchiha Madara, and the battles in the ninja world since the beginning of history are basically dominated by it? Hitaki Kakashi asked uncertainly. Uchiha Obito nodded and said sternly. That's it, I won't use this kind of thing to deceive you, so you guy, now you should understand why I'm with Yang. Hitaki Kakashi opened his mouth slightly and wanted to refute, but he didn't know how to say it at all, because he found that he had no place to refute. Everything the other party said was justified, and it also corresponded with the past history of the ninja world one by one. If that's the case, you can tell the village the information. Shouldn't you gather the power of Konoha to do this kind of thing? Hitaki Kakashi asked. Daj. Uchiha Obito sneered and said, are you still so naive even now? It seems that you have always been innocent, right? Hitaki Kakashi sighed slightly as he thought of the past situation in the village. Given the situation of the Uchiha clan in Konoha, how many people would believe the information I brought back? Even if I did bring the information back, what would the village do? Wouldn't it be the same to continue targeting Uchiha? In this case, how can you make me feel at ease to stay in Konoha? 35. Hitaki Kakashi opened his mouth slightly, but was powerless to refute. So instead of being restricted in Konoha, I might as well jump out of this frame. Although that guy Yang is a bit bad-tempered, you can see his ability to build a forbearance like Tenji-kun from scratch. Village, what do you think of his ability? Instead of trusting Konoha, I would rather choose to trust him. At least he told me all the information, and what he has done over the years makes me firmly believe that he will do to the promises he said. 99. Hearing this, Hitaki Kakashi took a deep breath, his face became solemn, and he said solemnly. Then why did he start a war against Konoha? And why did he do something to hurt Konoha? 35. I can answer that question for you. Advertisement. Uchiha Obito chuckled lightly. First of all, he is a betrayal, and he has a hostile relationship with Konoha. You should be able to understand this, and why he betrayed Konoha in the first place, you should also know. Then I ask you, a village that treats him like this, the two sides are already enemies, how good do you think it is necessary for him to treat Konoha? Hitaki Kakashi was silent. Besides, that guy's dream is to build a world without war. He doesn't like empty talk. Everything he does is to make it happen. I can't convince you about his ideal, because I know, you have a prejudice against him. I just wanted to tell you that when your eyes were still on a village, the guy's eyes were already cast to the whole starry sky. If Shi Shangyang was here, Uchiha Obito would not be able to say it anyway, which would make him feel ashamed. Uchiha Obito smiled inexplicably. I didn't say that I wanted you to betray Konoha. On the contrary, I felt that it would be better if you were the next Hokage. Hitaki Kakashi is very clear about this, because from what he saw, the life of ordinary people in Tanokura village is much better than that of ordinary people in other shinobi villages, including Konoha village. Just for this, Shi Shangyang the ability has surpassed too many people. Hitaki Kakashi took a deep breath and said solemnly, Obito, I will not betray Konoha, you should know that. 35. The most important thing is that the TNG village, which Shi Shangyang founded from scratch, has now developed to such an extent that Uchiha Obito has seen hope. He has now begun to imagine what a ninja world without war would be like. He didn't think much about entering the starry sky, after all, it was still too far away. But in fact, others don't know, but he himself is very clear that in terms of fulfilling his ideals, he agrees with Shi Shangyang very much, and he is the kind of convinced, because Shi Shangyang basically said what he said in the past. All came true. Uchiha Obito said with a grin, and said solemnly, I tell you this, just to let you know a little, the ninja world will be changed, and it will be changed in our hands, and the system of one country, one village will eventually be abandoned. The real peace era belonging to the ninja world is coming, and we have been working hard for it. So speaking, what we have to do is far greater than you think. Please subscribe. First Hokage Senju Hashirama single-handedly ended the war in the ninja world and created Konoha, the strongest ninja village in the ninja world, while Shi Shangyang single-handedly created a magical town like Tien Village. Strictly speaking, Shi Shangyang is not how much worse than Senju Hashirama. Shi Shangyang even surpassed in some respects. Hitaki Kakashi looked a little complicated. From what he had seen and heard these days, he already knew what kind of existence Tanokura really was. Similarly, 157's perception of Shi Shangyang, who single-handedly created TNG Village, becomes complicated. Chapter 278 Mizukage said the same, please subscribe. What's the meaning? Hitaki Kakashi frowned. Uchiha Obito said, I said, in fact, we don't need you to betray Konoha. As he said that, he drank the glass of wine, closed his eyes slightly as if tasting the mellow aroma of the wine, and after a while he let out a sigh of relief, then said, Yi Yang's insidiousness and cunning, he will definitely have other thoughts and ideas when he keeps you. Plan, then guess with your mind, what will he do with you in the end? Hitaki Kakashi was silent for a moment. He had thought about this question many times, but he had no clue. Originally he thought that Shi Shangyang kept himself here all the time, maybe because of Lin's relationship and did not kill himself, but this idea was quickly abandoned by him, because his companions were also not executed. This shows that Shi Shangyang has other plans. But Hitaki Kakashi still has no idea what Shi Shangyang planned. Seeing him thinking, Uchiha Obito smiled and said, "Right, I forgot to tell you, that guy Yang plans to put you all back after the war. Of course, I guess he will definitely use you come and ask for something from Konoha, you should be able to think of that. 35. Hitaki Kakashi nodded slightly, but he was not very happy, but felt that Shi Shangyang must have other plans to do this, especially after learning from Uchiha Obito that he could be sent back. This feeling was even stronger. Seeing Uchiha Obito's half-smile expression, Hitaki Kakashi's heart moved, and he suddenly thought of something. Thinking of his own situation these days, as well as the experiences of his companions, many things became transparent in his heart. He wants to use the status quo that I'm being treated differently here to confuse the upper echelons of the village and make them think I can't be trusted? Hitaki Kakashi asked. Uchiha Obito shrugged. Looks like you're not too stupid. Hitaki Kakashi shook his head. If that's the case, it will only disappoint him. The village can't be caught in his plans so easily. 99. Advertisement? Really? Are you sure you shouldn't think about it again? Uchiha Obito and Shi Shangyang came up with it for so many years, and they were already familiar with some of Shi Shangyang's ways of dealing with people. In fact, when Shi Shangyang locked Hitaki Kakashi in his house, Uchiha Obito had already thought of Shi Shangyang's style. Intend. This is not to say how smart Uchiha Obito is. Of course, he is not stupid either, but after spending a long time with Shi Shangyang, he will unconsciously get some of that guy's faults, which is also a manifestation of his personality. At least Uchiha Obito learned to be cautious from Shi Shangyang, and it is precisely because of this cautiousness that he did not show any flaws in front of Black Zetsu. Hitaki Kakashi is silent. He has full trust in the village, but after that, whether the village trusts him as much as before will indeed bring a question mark. This is obvious, not a fact that he wouldn't exist without acknowledging it. If I were you, I would choose to cooperate with Shi Shangyang. Don't underestimate his determination to change the ninja world. It is imperative to integrate the entire ninja world at that time, and it will eventually be realized. At that time, Konoha will continue to do the right thing with Tien Village, or join it. What choice do you think Konoha will make? Uchiha Obito asked. Hitaki Kakashi remained silent, and if that time came, he couldn't imagine what it would be like. Then Uchiha Obito said again, it's really getting to that point, and many things can't be undone. I believe you have already learned the ability of that guy Yang. At least I can't compete with him because of his strength. Having said this, he paused, as if he had thought of something again, and then continued. By the way, are you paying attention to the recent situation in the ninja world? Tanamura had an accident with Konoha and went to war with Cloud Shinobi. Now, do you know about this? Hitaki Kakashi nodded slightly. It's good to know. The latest information is that the pioneer team of Tien Jikun has already entered the homeland of the Land of Thunder, penetrated deep into it, and led the war to the homeland of the Land of Thunder. I believe that it won't be long before they can hit the land. Right in front of the gate of Cloud Shinobi village. Hitaki Kakashi frowned upon hearing this, and his heart sank. Also, the vanguard team of Tien Nomura on Cloud Shinobi's side has only 500 or 600 people, so how many ninjas are there in Tien Nomura's rank? Uchiha Obito didn't wait for Hitaki Kakashi to answer or ask, and said directly, there are more than 30,000 people, of which the number of people who belong to the combat department is almost 5,000, and the lowest level is also the level of Chunin. The number of Jonin has exceeded half. Guess how many of these are elite Jonin? 35. Advertisement. He didn't tell Hitaki Kakashi that the 30,000 included the people who were able to count masters and use chakra. In fact, some of them were not real ninjas, but were leaders in all walks of life. 5,000. More fighters are the real ninjas, and these ninjas are specially expanded with the start of the war. Even so, the volume has put a lot of pressure on Hitaki Kakashi. Kakashi, sober up a bit. You might as well take a longer-term perspective, and later you will find that Konoha is just a history of a certain period of time in the ninja world. The existence of Konoha represents the present, and we are the ones who truly represent the future. If you really love Konoha, you should find a way out for Konoha as soon as possible. Having said that, Uchiha Obito has actually finished what he wants to say, and he does not intend to persuade Kakashi, because he knows that Kakashi's character is like this. Hitaki Kakashi was silent for a moment, but suddenly raised his head and stared at Hitaki Kakashi. So what do you mean by wanting me to be Hokage? But seeing his expression, Uchiha Obito knew and convinced this guy to become hopeful. Please subscribe. Uchiha Obito felt that he had completed the task given by Shi Shangyang, and he felt a lot more relaxed at the moment. He was happily eating snacks and drinking wine. Hearing this, he just smiled and said, you become Hokage. In the future, when the time is right, we will directly announce the merger of Hichan village. Wouldn't this save a lot of things? Hitaki Kakashi shook his head and said, you are thinking too superficially. This kind of thing is not something that Hokage can decide by himself. Uchiha Obito liked his reaction very much, and said with a smile, Mizukage-sama's reaction was similar to yours at the time, and we were not convinced by the same. Hitaki Kakashi stood up suddenly, his face full of wonder. Hey, this is a secret, are you sure you want to know? Hitaki Kakashi's expression froze, and he said solemnly, "What do you mean by this?" Uchiha Obito pouted. Mist Shinobi said the same thing. Chapter 279 End the war as soon as possible, please subscribe. Shi Shangyang didn't know what the two talked about at the end. His attention was not on this aspect. Let Uchiha Obito persuade Hitaki Kakashi. Shi Shangyang said it with the mentality of trying it out. It's good to do it, but it's not a pity if it can't be done. Shi Shangyang is now holding a new piece of information, which was sent back from the Land of Thunder, showing the latest results of Tien Village and Cloud Shinobi. In the second contact battle with Cloud Shinobi, Tanemura won without a doubt another victory. And this victory came more directly. It ripped Cloud Shinobi's attacking team to pieces. The result was quite dazzling. Over 400 enemies were wiped out and more than 200 people were captured. In the World War, it was also an extremely dazzling achievement. However, the Cloud Shinobi side, who was the victim, was not very happy, not to mention being attacked by the enemy. The blocking team was also scattered. For the arrogant Cloud Shinobi ninjas, this is a complete surprise. Unacceptable things. Shi Shangyang didn't have to guess to know what kind of expression Raikage had when he received the news. I'm afraid he didn't beat his desk again. Good. He nodded, and then said to the person in front of him, "Inform Orochimaru, you can launch a surprise attack on Konoha's frontline base. Be sure to destroy that base, and let Cloud Shinobi's team destroy at least 3 towns at the same time. Defeat Cloud Shinobi's counterattack one more time and nail me there like a nail." 995. Yes, Lord Chief. The messenger immediately went down and conveyed Shi Shangyang's order through special means. Summoning beasts are a common method for long-distance communication in the ninja world. Shi Shangyang is not exempt from this. Most of the ninjas in Tamura have signed contracts with the ninja snakes in Ryuchi Cave, but they also have other summoning beasts. To sign a contract, the ninja for communication is preferred in this regard, so Shi Shangyang's order was quickly conveyed to Orochimaru. He continued to work on his side, and when it was almost over, Uchiha Obito knocked on the door and walked in. "Have you finished talking with your good friend?" Shi Shangyang asked. He didn't ask how the process was, because he didn't care. Uchiha Obito nodded and sat down on the sofa with a weird expression. "What's wrong?" Shi Shangyang wondered. Uchiha Obito said, "I told Kakashi about you and Yagura, and the guy was terrified." Shi Shangyang was not surprised, but smiled. "If you tell this information, Mist Shinobi and I will be passive. If Kakashi is put back in the future, if Kakashi informs Konoha about this information, the matter will not be resolved. Well done. Come on." Advertisement. Uchiha Obito curled his lips, hugged his arms and said, "I don't know you yet. You guys definitely don't care about this, and you even want me to reveal the news to Kakashi." Shi Shangyang raised his eyebrows slightly and asked, "Why do you say that?" "Call." Uchiha Obito snorted coldly. "After all these years, I know you very well. Who doesn't know that you are the most insidious guy, and will definitely not miss such an opportunity. I told Kakashi this news. That guy will only even more pressure. In this case, if he doesn't know how to choose, then I will really look down on him." "So, Kakashi agreed?" Shi Shangyang asked. Uchiha Obito shook his head, frowned slightly, and said in deep thought for a moment, "I don't know either. He didn't say it clearly, and the reaction is a bit strange." Shi Shangyang thought for a while, but suddenly smiled. "It may be a little hard to digest, but if I want to guess, Kakashi will still be wary of us, but he will seize this opportunity." "What do you mean?" Uchiha Obito asked with a frown. Shi Shangyang said with a smile. "That guy is not stupid. Knowing that Konoha and us are disparate in strength, he will definitely not spread the news, because in that case, Konoha will be more vigilant and at the same time cooperate with us. Our war will be even more unfinished, and with that guy's brain, he should be able to figure this out. 35. That is, he will pretend to promise us and then make another BEDB plan?" Uchiha Obito asked. Shi Shangyang nodded. "If nothing else, it should be like this. In this way, isn't that guy Kakashi untrustworthy?" Speaking of this, Uchiha Obito is somewhat dissatisfied. Shi Shangyang waved his hand. "It's nothing, it's just an idle move to turn against him. It's best if you can get through, and it's okay if you can't get through." "Then are you going to let him go?" When asked about this, Uchiha Obito stared into Shi Shangyang's eyes, hoping to see something in his eyes. Obviously, he still cares about Kakashi more. Shi Shangyang nodded. "Of course I want to let him go. What do I keep him for? I can't really kill him. In that case, don't you and Lin hate me to death?" Shout, who cares about that guy's life or death? Having said that, Uchiha Obito was visibly relieved. Advertisement, haha. Shi Shangyang just smiled and then said, "Don't worry, I'll let Kakashi agree willingly." "What are you going to do?" Uchiha Obito asked. Shi Shangyang said, "It's hard to say now, you'll know soon." Uchiha Obito heard what he said, so he didn't ask any further questions, but said, "Even if that guy really agrees, it won't have any effect on Konoha, right? After all, Kakashi's status in Konoha can't be said. How tall it looks." Shi Shangyang shook his head. "You can underestimate him for that." "How? Do you really plan to train him into Hokage?" 99. Although Shi Shangyang didn't say anything, but after getting along for so many years, he was still able to perceive some of Shi Shangyang's thoughts from some clues. Shi Shangyang was a little surprised, but he didn't think there was anything, so he said, "Can you tell me if you can pay back too? 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato is still in his prime, and there is no possibility of 5th Hokage's succession in a short time. If Kakashi is willing to serve, it can be regarded as burying a nail in the leaves first, and after a few years, there may be unexpected effects." 35. "Oh, I always feel that you are mysterious, you must not be thinking of something good." 35 Uchiha Obito said. Shi Shangyang waved his hand. "Let's not talk about this first, during this time you have to go to Black Zetsu first, don't let him doubt, I will end this war as soon as possible, and then I will be able to arrange your marriage with Lin." Hearing this, Uchiha Obito smiled subconsciously, but felt that it was inappropriate to behave in this way in front of Shi Shangyang, and immediately coughed. "Cough, I'm not in a hurry." "Oh, then I'll leave it alone. B********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Naruto is in a hurry. Hey, alright, let's just do it for now. Pick some information that can be said to Black Zetsu. I don't need to teach you about this, right? Humph. Uchiha Obito snorted coldly, and without any more nonsense, the figure disappeared in a whirlpool of space. Please subscribe. Chapter 280 Make Konoha Feel Scared, please subscribe. At the junction of the Land of Fire and the Land of the Land, at the front line of the war between Konoha and the village of Tien, the reinforcements of Konoha have arrived. This time more than 600 Konoha shinobi arrived, plus the people in the Konoha front line base. Konoha's ninjutsu on the front line has approached 1,000 people. The number of ninjas in this number is comparable to the number sent by Konoha and Rock Shinobi in the Third Ninja War, but the latter has been in a state of anxiety for a long time, and it has only reached this level after sending ninjas again and again. Scale, and the former directly piled up so many people on the front line at one time, so it can be seen that Konoha attaches great importance to Tien village. Orochimaru had already received Shi Shangyang's order, and naturally knew what to do next, but their numbers were at a disadvantage, so if they wanted to defeat Konoha directly, they had to invest more power. That guy, do you want me to show up in this battle? What a deep-hearted guy. Orochimaru naturally knew what Shi Shangyang's intentions were, nothing more than to let him show up, and then inflict heavy damage on Konoha's side, thereby increasing Konoha's fear of him. This has an advantage, that is, it can bring more pressure to Konoha, especially after the victory of this war. It will make ordinary people in Konoha village increase their fear of Tien village. Just imagine, what could be more angered and frightening than a traitor who escaped from Konoha and brought a blow to Konoha? Especially when there is a large group of people like Tien Jamura. After bringing failure to Konoha, the high-level people will be more afraid, while ordinary people will become fearful. This is the effect Shi Shangyang wants. He wants Konoha to remember this failure, and he wants Konoha to think of this failure every time he thinks of Tien Jikun. In this way, it will be of some help to his future plans. 35 Anyone who can achieve this level of Orochimaru can't be a fool, not to mention that this guy has been with Shi Shangyang for a longer time, and he is more aware of Shi Shangyang's behavior. It is easy to guess this. As a high-level executive of Tien Jikun, he didn't think it was bad for Shi Shangyang to think about things like this. On the contrary, he also supported Shi Shangyang's decision. If that's the case, it looks like I should do some activities. It's a pity that those two guys are not in the village. Otherwise, it would be quite a sense of accomplishment to defeat those two idiots. Orochimaru immediately gave an order to start integrating the strength of Tanemura on the front line, and without any hesitation, he launched a surprise attack on the Konoha front line base that had just received reinforcements. Advertisement Konoha frontline base. It was already late at night. Because of the reinforcements, the pressure on Nara Shikahisa was relieved a lot, but he did not dare to relax, because the movement on the opposite side suddenly disappeared. It seemed very quiet, not even the harassment of the team that had a tacit understanding between the two sides in the previous 2 days. This also made Nara Shikahisa's mood even heavier, because he knew that the opponent must be planning something, and it was likely to organize a bigger move. His guess was correct, because at this night, the police post more than 10 miles away from the base sounded the alarm. Call out. Boom. A bright firework suddenly exploded in the air, and the firework could be seen even from a dozen miles away. Immediately, Nara Shikahisa's heart sank, and without thinking, he gave the order to prepare for battle. In an instant, the entire base seemed to come to life. The base that had been quiet before became noisy in a blink of an eye. The crowd was walking and shouting incessantly, and everyone was on guard. Nara Shikahisa already had a hunch, so he made arrangements early. Although he was a little surprised at this time, the people in the base were not panicked, but prepared in an orderly manner. It didn't take long for the movement to come from around the base. The explosion after the trap was set off, and the sound after the trap was dismantled, all of which indicated that there were a lot of people coming from the opposite side this time, and it was obvious that they planned to meet up with the enemy. There is a war on their side. Unconsciously, Nara Shikuji felt the pressure. Even if he had expected such a moment, he would still feel the pressure when the moment came. In the previous battle with the opponent, no matter what the situation was, Tien Village always had the upper hand. Whether it was a single team or a combined battle of several teams, Konoha did not achieve any good results. After a few times like this, the feeling of seeing through all his actions on his side is still there, and Nara Shikamaru also found the reason and knew the reason for the special goggles that Tanamiura ninjas were wearing. For flowers. Advertisement, he really wanted to get that kind of thing, but unfortunately, the Tanemura ninjas were very strict in protecting that thing. So far Konoha hasn't even gotten a special eyepiece. But Naruto can roughly analyze the role of those things. He knows that the main reason why he is restrained everywhere is because of taking things. Unfortunately, knowing that he knows, he still can't find a solution, and sometimes he even doubts, does that special eyepiece have a white eye effect? It's just that this kind of speculation cannot be confirmed. He guessed right, but that's about it. Konoha has prepared in advance, and Tianjimura is not surprised. Konoha knows that people from Tianjikan are coming. Tianjikan also knows that Konoha knows that he is coming, and Konoha also knows Tianjimura knew that their side knew that the other side was coming, and both sides knew that the war would be imminent. Point 0 But what Nara Shikuji didn't expect was that he didn't know that the commander of Tien Nomura was Orochimaru. When Wan Snake's tall body raised the snake's head in the moonlight, Nara Shikuji couldn't help his pupils shrink. Damn, it's Orochimaru. At this moment, Nara Shikuji had no luck anymore, and the war between the two sides started completely. The Konoha side has a numerical advantage here, but this kind of ninjutsu advantage does not seem to be obvious when facing the village of Tien, especially when Orochimaru enters the battlefield on the 10,000 snakes. It is even more for the Konoha side. On the mind of the ninja, it brought a lot of pressure. Who is Orochimaru? It was a powerful ninja who was active in the Second Ninja World War and created the name of Konoha Sannin. Even the shadow of each village would not be underestimated. But now, he rushed over with the enemy. One can imagine how much shock and pressure it brought to the hearts of Konoha shinobi who have been listening to Sannin's stories since childhood. Everyone in Konoha, after this battle, I believe you will deeply remember Tien-ji-kun. One after another roar resounded through the battlefield, and bursts of firelight illuminated the night sky, and the battle started completely at this moment. The 281st chapter wins the frontal battlefield. Please subscribe. The appearance of Orochimaru is a blow to the morale of Konoha as a whole, but correspondingly, this blow does not always exist, especially the amazing power brought by seeing the 10,000 snakes twisting and waving their tails, and so on. Attacking the base that was showing weakness, more Konoha shinobi players chose to rise up and work hard. Sometimes ninja battles are actually a competition of mentality and courage. In such battle scenes, courage becomes even more important. Even if you fall into a disadvantage, as long as you have enough courage, you will have the ability to fight back. Orochimaru didn't even think about defeating the Konoha base as soon as he came up, because he knew that he couldn't do it. Looseness will end. Different from the world before Shi Shangyang crossed, the number of people in the war in the ninja world is generally not too large. Hundreds of, 170, and thousands are already very scary numbers. After all, they are all ninjas. It's amazing. Orochimaru stood on top of the snake, and the huge body of the snake twisted and rammed across the battlefield. Those detonating symbols or kunai fell on it, and even its scales could not be broken. Such a summoning beast actually already has the ability to wrestle with the tailed beast, but it is not as strong as the tailed beast. In the face of ninjas, summoning beasts of this level are truly crushing, which can be seen from the fear and anger on the faces of those Konoha shinobi. Wan Shi rammed all the way to the Konoha base, looking down at Nara Shikuju and the others below, with a hideous smile on his face. Orochimaru, 35 Nara Shikahisa looked at him with a solemn expression, with a look of anger. Orochimaru's smile remained unchanged, and he laughed hoarsely. So it's you little brat, the little guy from the Nara family, you lost this war. The battle around is not over, on the contrary, it has just begun, and this level of battle will not end for a while. Why did you do this? Nara Shikahisa asked in a deep voice. Orochimaru added his lower lip and smiled. I'm just under orders. Order? Advertisement. Nara Shikuji's heart skipped a beat, thinking of the information from the village, and her heart sank immediately. Is it really that guy? I won't let you succeed, he said. Ha ha ha, this kind of thing is not something you can deny with just a few words. If you really want to stop me, then let me see your abilities. When the words fell, Orochimaru made a seal with his hands, and then inhaled sharply, his chest and stomach bulged high, and then he opened his mouth and spit out a snake. It is indeed spitting snakes, not as simple as one or two, but densely spit out from his mouth in pieces. From a distance, it looks like he is actually using water style, but it is not water, it's just a snake. The array of 10,000 snakes, the densely packed snakes with unclear branches fell from the air like raindrops, fell into the battlefield, and immediately scattered. Going far away, there seemed to be an ink-colored water stream on the ground, and it began to smudge, rushing towards the Konoha shinobi. Exclamations and screams rang out. Those snakes were not powerful individually, but when the number reached a certain level, the power of a single individual became insignificant. The reason why the ants killed the elephants was the reason. Seeing this, Naralukisa gritted his teeth, made a seal, and stepped forward. The next moment, with him as the center, the temperament under his feet spread out in a circle quickly, controlling all the snakes around him. Shish. The rest immediately performed ninjutsu or threw out ninja tools to kill those snakes. It's a pity that the number of snakes is too large. Even if Nara Shikuji can control thousands of them at once, it is only a drop in the bucket for the whole. Orochimaru put down his hands, only smiled slightly when he saw this, and did not continue to attack, but looked at it leisurely. Advertisement Konoha has the advantage in terms of the number of ninjas on both sides, but the results are at a disadvantage. The ninjas of Tien Jiguo cooperate very well. They can often find loopholes in their opponent's moves or ninjutsu to avoid them, and then counterattack. Got it almost every time. Naturally, Nara Shikahisa saw this situation, but he couldn't do anything, because a battle of this level could no longer be compensated for by his command, and obviously, Orochimaru would not give him such a chance. Nara Lukisa is very unwilling, but there is nothing he can do. As time passed, the results of the battle gradually became one-sided. On the battlefield, the Konoha shinobi fell one by one. Often, they had to pay several times or even 10 times the casualties to take away 1 or 2 enemies, but each enemy had to pay several times or even 10 times as many casualties. They were able to grasp their weaknesses every time, which made the Konoha shinobi players very passive. Under such a situation, Nara Shikahisa and the top officials of the base also tried their best, but under Orochimaru's suppression, their actions were of no use at all, and they were quickly suppressed. This battle lasted until late at night, and the battlefield spread from the Konoha base to the surrounding area of more than 10 miles. The ninjas on the Konoha side were completely broken up and divided, and then annihilated by the ninjas of Tiano village, leaving them no possibility or chance for a comeback. Finally, the fighting stopped, and the fire was all around, illuminating the night, and the surviving Konoha shinobi were basically all captured by the people of Tien village, including Nara Shikahisa and others. They didn't think about running away, they even wanted to fight with their lives, but unfortunately, Orochimaru didn't give them such a chance. In the end, the number of Konoha shinobi surviving in the Konoha base was only 30 or 40. There were some seriously injured Konoha shinobi in the battlefield, but the number was also small, and the rest had already died in this battle. Compared with the losses on Konoha's side, the number of casualties in Tien village was also quite large, which had already exceeded 3.1 and exceeded 200, which shows how crazy the people on Konoha's side were. But even so, the winning side still belongs to Tien village. Clean up the battlefield, treat the wounded, and save the seriously wounded Konoha shinobi along with the others. Orochimaru gave the order. This was a big victory, especially in the head-to-head battle with Konoha, which made the people of Tanokura very excited. This battle has strengthened the confidence of the people in Tien Jimura, so that they have no fear of Konoha, who is famous in the ninja world. The mentality that his own village is stronger than Konoha has gradually emerged. Orochimaru looked at Nara Shikamaru, who was already tied up in front of him, and grinned. Nara's little brat, it seems that you need to be wronged. Chapter 282 Cloud Shinobi is defeated. Raikage is seriously injured. Please subscribe. The news of Konoha's disastrous defeat on the front line could not be concealed. It was a complete failure, and the news was not something that Konoha could hide, because Tien Jimura directly informed the situation of the day. When other villages in the ninja world knew about this result, the shock that it brought can be imagined. The ninja world was boiling, everyone who learned about this was shocked, and people were even more uneasy. Especially in the Konoha village, not to mention panic, but the peaceful scene was broken. The villagers were worried about this, they wanted to say it was not true, but the ninja adults in the village, but did not refute anything on this matter. In this way, the mentality of the commoners has changed. This is the first time Konoha has tasted such a failure. In the past 3 ninja wars, Konoha has not encountered failures, but that kind of failure, at most it's just a loss of a small team battle. It seems that now, the bases on the front line have been destroyed, and even the additional teams sent over there, as well as the manpower that was originally expected to be there, have all been cleared out by people, and this is the most disturbing thing. The place. The number of hundreds of ninjas is not a small number. Even for Konoha, this is an unbearable loss. They still have strength, but if they encounter such losses a few times, even Konoha can't bear it. But now in this situation, even if Konoha can't bear it, he has to continue to send his forces to the front line to stop the pace of Tien Jikun, because the land of fire and the country of Tien are bordered, and the other party only needs to move forward to enter the fire, within the borders of the country. When the war burns to the mainland, this is the last thing Konoha wants to see. But what made Konoha's side puzzled was that, having won this battle, Tien Jimura was able to press ahead, but they did not do so and instead remained on the border. When Konoha learned this, many people were relieved. Hokage office. 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato frowned, put down the information in his hand, and said solemnly, "Everyone, in this war, Konoha has lost hundreds of excellent ninjas. The loss of the other side is not as great as ours, and the other side is now it is very confusing. Do you think we are going to counterattack? Advertisement?" "I agree to counterattack," said a ninja patriarch. The person who spoke was the patriarch of the Aburame clan. He was very concerned about the surveillance bugs that appeared on the battlefield in Tien Jiguo. He felt that this might be an opportunity for the rise of the Aburame clan, so he naturally did not want to give up. On the other hand, among the teams sent to reinforce, the Aburame clan only sent more than 20 people, because they were eager to find out the characteristics of the bug, so they sent so many people. The Aburame clan can be regarded as the great ninja clan, but among the Konoha ninja clan, the number of people does not occupy much advantage, so such a loss is already very big for them. But after investing so much, it didn't achieve the expected benefits. The Aburame family was naturally reluctant to give up like this. "I also agree with the counterattack." The next person who spoke was Hyuga Heishi. Their losses were also not small. There were more than 100 members of the ninja tribe who had reinforced the past team, and more than a dozen people from the Hyuga family had invested in them, although they were all branch houses, but for the Hyuga family, it is also a big loss. Of course, the main reason is that the Hyuga family doesn't want to just give up the punishment to those Hyugas in Tien Village, they really want to kill all those traitors. Most of the other ninja tribes also expressed their support for the counteroffensive. First, because their respective families suffered a lot, and Konoha had never experienced such a big failure. As the Konoha people who claim to be the strongest in the ninja world, this is unacceptable no matter what, they must get this face back. Namikaze Minato knew the thoughts of the people present, especially the ninja people, but as Hokage, he couldn't make a conclusion easily, especially on this kind of thing. At this time, the only advisor Udatane Kaharu said, I suggest to wait and see the situation again. You can send a group of reinforcements to check the situation first, and it is best not to fight directly with the people from TNG village. I don't know if it's because of the death of Mitokado Homura and Shimura Danzo. This woman seems to have become less courageous, and her opinions are more conservative recently. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen also frowned, he knocked on his pipe, and said solemnly, although I don't know what Tanemura's plan is, at this time, it's best to wait and see. 35. Advertisement. After saying that, he looked around the scene, and said, I hope this failure can make everyone realize one thing, that is, TNG-kun is definitely not an ordinary small ninja village, and the strength of the other party is definitely not weaker than ours. If the war continues, what will happen in the end, I believe everyone should know in their hearts, so I will stop talking nonsense. He shut up after saying that. Now he's not Hokage, so Namikaze Minato needs to make that decision. Namikaze Minato has a heavy heart. As a Hokage, he naturally knows how difficult the current situation is. The last reinforcements can be said to be a misjudgment of the situation, and this is the reason for this fiasco, so the next decision is very likely. It is related to the overall situation behind the ninja world. If it is wrong, it may be the beginning of the Fourth Ninja World War. Everyone, Sand Shinobi has made some moves recently, and they are shrinking their troops. Rock Shinobi has already tried 170 times against Tien Village. If we continue to fight against Tien Village, it is impossible for other villages to continue to wait and see at this time. Namikaze Minato said in a heavy tone. So, if possible, it is best to end the war in the near future, so I decided to send another reinforcement to the front line, at least to withstand the pressure on the Tiano countryside, and then, see how the situation develops. He wanted to end the war directly, but he also knew that the end of the war could not be decided by the Konoha side, especially depending on how the other side chose, which made things even more difficult. At this moment, the door of the office was knocked, and soon an Anbu ninja walked in and knelt down in front of him. The latest information, the leading team of Tien Village in the Land of Thunder, and Cloud Shinobi's team. The team appeared to fight. This time the team was led by 4th Raikage himself, along with 8 Tails Jinchuriki Killer B. How did it turn out? Namikaze Minato asked. The Anbu took a deep breath and said, Raikage was seriously injured, and the Cloud Shinobi team suffered a crushing defeat. Hiss. Many people gasped, and their hearts sank. It has been ascertained that Raikage and 8 Tails Jinchuriki are fighting with Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Fugaku, as well as ninjas of the Hyuga and Vortex. Chapter 283 Namikaze Minato's Decision. Please subscribe. The Hokage office became very quiet, and everyone was stunned by the news. They would never have thought that existences like Raikage would be seriously injured in this war. But when I thought about it, I didn't feel too surprised. This kind of accident is not unexpected that Raikage will be injured, but that Raikage will directly take risks. Even in the Third Ninja War, he has never seen any shadow of the village, and he will go into battle without his shirt. Except Raikage. As the only dead shadow in the Third Ninja World War, Third Raikage can be regarded as a lesson for the entire ninja world, a class called Impulse. In the early days of the Third Ninja World War, that guy completed the feat of being 1 to 10,000, and then he was heroic. He was really great in life and useless in death. Pull away. Many people at the scene looked at each other in dismay. If Konoha's side is in anxiety because of failure, then you can imagine how the current Cloud Shinobi has been knocked on the door and seriously injured Raikage. Suddenly, the mood of many people present was much better, roughly because they saw that someone was as miserable as themselves. No, it was because they saw that someone was worse than themselves, and inexplicably gloated. This can also be regarded as the inferiority of human beings, and there is no way to eradicate it. Namikaze Minato looked solemn and said solemnly, Who is the person in charge of Tanokura over there? Did you find out? Anbu Ninja said, Sorry, Hokage-sama, we haven't found out yet, but among the ninjas in Tano village, there are many Hyuga and Uchiha, and there are also ninjas from the Vortex clan, who are in the Battle of Raikage, played a very important role. Namikaze Minato nodded slightly, then exhaled. First Orochimaru, then Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Shisui. It seems that the people of Tanokura have already made arrangements. Sarutobi Hiruzen said solemnly. Obviously, this was deliberately arranged by Shi Shangyang. 35. Advertisement. Namikaze Minato nodded. Konoha's failure was brought by Tien Village, or Orochimaru in other words, which would make Konoha's ninjas feel very complicated, and also dampen Konoha's morale. And arranging Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Shisui, plus Hyuga and Vortex and Uchiha 3 clans to deal with Cloud Shinobi, is also deliberately made for Konoha to see. At least any Konoha people who heard this kind of news would feel that the village lost Uchiha and Hyuga. It was a huge loss for the village. If they didn't see those people on Cloud Shinobi's side, they would all be able to unite to defeat Raikage. If Konoha hadn't betrayed, wouldn't Konoha fail this time? People's thoughts are sometimes very complicated. Even if they know that such thoughts should not exist, sometimes they can't help but emerge. Obviously, someone thought of this in advance, so this arrangement was made. The person who arranged this kind of thing was none other than Shi Shangyang, which Sarutobi Hiruzen and Namikaze Minato saw very clearly. At the same time, from this point, the two felt Shi Shangyang's intractability. That guy almost never turned over any opportunity to hit the opponent, making it difficult to resist. If it was said that they had confidence just now that they would be able to alleviate the rotten situation on the front line to a certain extent by adding reinforcements again, then after hearing this news, it brought them a burst of pressure. Everyone present felt inexplicably that if they could defeat the opponents of Konoha and Cloud Shinobi at the same time, would they really be able to defeat them? As soon as this skeptical idea appeared, there was an unstoppable momentum. Namikaze Minato took a deep breath and then said solemnly, "I see, you go down first." "Yes." The man responded, then went out and closed the door. Namikaze Minato looked around for a week, and then said, "Now the situation has become obvious. Tan Nomura may have the ambition to start the fourth ninja war. For the sake of the village, and for the peace of the entire ninja world, we must stop them." 35. Everyone's hearts were heavy, and after hearing the news from the person just now, no one at the scene was in a relaxed mood. "Now I order that the village first mobilize some of its staff to the front line to ease the situation there, and then send people to Cloud Shinobi to contact Raikage, saying that Konoha intends to join forces with him to bring peace to the ninja world." 35. Advertisement having said this, he paused for a while, and then said, "In addition, contact Sand Shinobi and Rock Shinobi, and also get in touch with them. It is best to get their support. Now Tanokura is not only a threat to Konoha, it could also be a threat to them." "Yes, Lord Hokage." The patriarchs responded. "What about Mist Shinobi?" someone asked. Namikaze Minato pondered slightly, then shook his head and said, "Mist Shinobi and Tanomura are allies, and we can't be sure of their roles in this matter, but let's get in touch with them and see what their attitude is." 35. As Hokage, having made a decision on this matter, other people will naturally not object at this time, because they know that this order may be the only key to unlocking the current situation. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded slightly, clearly satisfied with Namikaze Minato's decision. "Then, just do it," Namikaze Minato said. After Hokage's order was issued, Konoha quickly took action. First, a group of nearby teams quickly assembled, and then set off to the battlefield. The situation on the front line was very tense, and no one knew when Tien Jimuro would directly cross the border and enter the Country of Fire. The only thing Konoha can do now is to stop them before they enter the Country of Fire. Because once the battle line is pushed to the Country of Fire, the losses caused by that time will be unbearable, and the Country of Thunder has already answered this. It can be said that the Kingdom of Thunder is self-inflicted, but no one can deny the threat posed by the Kingdom of Tien. It is definitely not that simple. I don't know what the reason is, Gachian Zhao, but the situation that Konoha was most worried about did not happen. The people of TNG village did not take this opportunity to push the front line into the Country of Fire, but still stationed in their original sphere of influence. Seems to be waiting for something. This scene was surprising, but the people on Konoha's side didn't have time to think about it, and immediately rearranged the defense line. They did not attack rashly, but chose to wait for the movement of the ninjas in the village of Tiano. Before coming, Lord Hokage had an order, and they only needed to defend the border. If the other party did not take the initiative to attack, then don't take the initiative to attack, but for the village, action to buy time. Therefore, Konoha's second batch of reinforcements did not have any extra actions, quietly waiting for orders from the rear, and at the same time being alert to the movements in front of the front. Chapter 284 Eight Tails Chakra Seeds, for subscription. Compared to Konoha's prudence, Cloud Shinobi at the same time seemed a little gloomy. After entering the Land of Thunder from Tien Village Ninja, Cloud Shinobi launched 2 attempts to block and encircle it, but each time ended in failure. Not only failed, but also almost all the people sent each time were wiped out. For this result, 4th Raikage Eye was naturally furious and felt that he was provoked and slapped in the face, so when he sent someone to stop him for the 3rd time, he couldn't wait to do it himself. In fact, he had already wanted to go there in person the first 2 times, but was stopped by his subordinates. After all, as the shadow of a village, under such circumstances, he took the initiative to take action, and no matter how he looked at it, he paid too much attention to the other party. At that time, 4th Raikage felt that there was no problem in saying this, so he was persuaded, but 2 consecutive failures also exhausted his patience, and the 3rd time he said anything, he had to do it himself. And this time, he didn't bring too many people, just brought a team of less than 300 people, because with his self-confidence, he felt that as Raikage himself, there was no enemy that could not be solved, especially Tien for such a small forbearance village. The other party must pay a painful price. As Raikage 187, he has the qualifications to be proud, and with the confidence he has in himself, there is nothing wrong with this kind of thinking, but the reality will not develop as he thinks. Shi Shangyang had already guessed that if he failed twice in a row, Raikage Eye would definitely go there in person for the 3rd time. He knew very well the pride and arrogance of this guy. This arrogance and arrogance were basically in the same line, so he directly sent the representative forces of the three major ninja tribes in Tien Village to the Land of Thunder. The three ninja tribes in Tien Village are naturally Uchiha, Hyuga and Vortex. In order to stabilize the situation in the Land of Thunder, Shi Shangyang asked Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Shisui to go together. Don't underestimate this guy. And with two Mangekyo-level Uchihas, plus a bunch of Hyuga and Vortex elites, it wasn't too difficult to stabilize the situation over there. The facts also developed as he thought. Reikajai really came, and he came. Then Eight-Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee, who was his brother, would not be absent. The reason why Shi Shangyang arranged this was that there was also a General Killer Bee. The meaning of Bee. As for why, of course, it was for the 8 tails on him, BEDB. The next thing is very simple. More than 200 Cloud Shinobi ninjas will naturally be dealt with by Tanokura ninjas. After a few battles, the quality of Tanokura ninjas is also improving rapidly, so it is completely against these 200 ninjas. There is no chance of failure. Advertisement and Reikajai is indeed strong enough, and he also has the capital to be proud of. In fact, he is placed among the 5 shadows. Except for the bug of Namikaze Minato, his combat power can be called the first, even if it is Onogi who has the blood to eliminate the dust escape are not necessarily their opponents. But this time he has to face Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Shisui. Needless to say, the former is also a bug-like ability to surpass 20,000 over time, which can already guarantee him invincible. Not to mention the existence of Uchiha Shisui, the first genius of Uchiha. With 2 Uchihas with Mangekyo Sharingan teaming up, even if Reikajai is really strong, he will eventually be defeated. No matter how fast his lightning-style chakra mode is, he will not be able to remain unbeaten under 2 Suzanos. But this guy is really strong. Even so, in the end, he was only seriously injured, not killed. Just from this point, it can be seen that his body is exaggerated. As for why Killer Bee didn't help him, it's very simple to say. When the battle broke out, Shi Shangyang came over in his vest and went straight to Killer Bee. The vest that Shi Shangyang wore this time was a Uchiha ninja, wearing a pair of Sharingan. He pressed Killer Bee all the way and smashed a lot of things from him. For example, Lariat in the special 7 knife flow and lightning style chakra mode, of course, did not accidentally harvest the seeds of 8 tails chakra, completing the main purpose of his trip. At this point, Shi Shangyang already has 3 tail beast chakra seed cards, and he is one step closer to summoning the dragon after collecting all 9 tail beast chakra cards. 4th Reikajai was seriously injured. Cloud Shinobi's 3rd blocking battle against Tien Nomura failed miserably. In the end, only Killer Bee and a few people escaped with the seriously injured Reikajai. At this point, Shi Shangyang did not let the ninjas in Tien Village pursue him, but chose the same approach as the Konoha front line, standing on standby for defense. But with a slight difference, Shi Shangyang kept Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Shisui, as well as the ninjas of the 3 major ninja clans. The task he gave these people was to be able to take the initiative at the right time and cause some trouble and confusion to the people of Cloud Shinobi, but don't fight them in full, save your strength, try to delay as long as possible, just make the other party feel anxious. The reason for doing this is to prevent other shinobi villages from being too vigilant. He doesn't want to really trigger the 4th Shinobi World War at this time. In that case, his later plans will be disrupted. So after the battle on the Land of Thunder was over, Shi Shangyang went to Mist Shinobi. Mist Shinobi, Mizukage office. Shi Shangyang came here very well, and did not show his body directly, but used an invisible ninjutsu, while listening to the conversation between Yagura and Konoha Messenger. Advertisement yes, the Konoha Messenger came here to inform Namikaze Minato's proposal. Shi Shangyang listened to it, and his expression was somewhat strange. He himself clearly wanted to avoid the occurrence of the 4th Ninja War, so he did not let the 2 teams of Konoha and Cloud Shinobi take the initiative to attack, but in Konoha's understanding, he did this to take the initiative to trigger the performance of the 4th Ninja War. How is this understood? Shi Shangyang said he was speechless. I know, I will seriously consider it. Please wait at Mist Shinobi for 2 days, and I will give your village an answer as soon as possible. Yudachi Yagura nodded slightly. I understand, then I will send a note to the other 4 ninja villages, but are you sure they will accept my request for a truce? Yuju Yagura sent the man away, and after the man left, he said, what do you think when you hear now? 99. Citrus Yagura said calmly, it can be seen that they do have such a plan, so what's your decision? Please subscribe. Shi Shangyang's figure was revealed, and he shook his head quite speechlessly while sitting on the sofa. Those guys in Konoha are planning to make me a public enemy of the ninja world. Shi Shangyang thought for a while and said, it's their business, anyway, the rhythm can't be in their hands, continue to follow the plan. 35. Citrus Yagura thought for a while, then nodded and said, that's right, I made the problem complicated. Shi Shangyang just smiled. As long as TNG Village responds to your request for a truce, they will naturally seize this opportunity. Chapter 285 Initiate the 5 Shadow Talks, please subscribe. Shi Shangyang's follow-up plan is actually very simple. It is to let the Wolf Orange Yagura send a note to other villages in the name of Mizukage, asking other villages not to participate in this war, so as not to expand their demeanor and eventually evolve into the first ninja that swept the entire ninja world. 4 Ninja Wars. After all, it's only been a few years since the last ninja war. Not every village has recovered its vitality. Among them, Mist Shinobi has lost a tailed beast, so sending such a note as Mizukage can be regarded as reasonable. At the same time, he will persuade Konoha and Cloud Shinobi to calm down, and in the name of the official persuade Tien Nomura to withdraw from the Country of Thunder, thus reaching a truce, and finally launch the Five Shadows talks in the name of Mizukage. At this point, it was almost his arrangement for the end of the war. As for whether other villages will accept such a request, Shi Shangyang has no doubts, as he just said, the third ninja war has just passed, and another ninja war is definitely not what normal people want to see. Even the craziest Cloud Shinobi will have to weigh in when facing the Fourth Ninja World War. They attacked Tien Jikun purely out of an instinctive desire to test Tien Jikun's strength. If they were strong, they would give up, and if they were weak, they would conquer by force. It's just that they didn't expect Tien Jimura to be so strong, and they even directly attacked the Kingdom of Thunder. Now they can't do it even if they want to end the battle, because the truce is not up to their family. Just at this time, Yagura issued a note. As long as Tien Jimura cooperates a little, Cloud Shinobi will naturally borrow a donkey. The people of Cloud Shinobi are crazy, but they are not fools. Reikage is seriously injured, and the ninjas of Tien Village are still raging in the Land of Thunder. At this time, if you don't want to end the war as soon as possible, it is really not something normal people can do. So, if the Shinobi village wants a truce the most, it is undoubtedly Cloud Shinobi. Their current situation does not allow them to continue to go on. The battle came to a stalemate because of Shi Shangyang's orders. Konoha did not take the initiative to attack, but chose passive defense. Here in the Land of Thunder, the people of Tien Village still maintained their pressure, and from time to time they sent a few teams to harass them and provoke the nerves of the Cloud Shinobi ninjas. Advertisement in Mist Shinobi Yagura's note has also been issued, and as time passed, several villages also responded. First of all, Sand Shinobi was the first to respond. If you say which village was lost in the Third Ninja War, it is actually Sand Shinobi. Because of their geographical location, Sand Shinobi has always been the top 5. The weakest of the Shinobi village. So even now, Sand Shinobi's vitality has not fully recovered, and they are also the village that least expects the Fourth Ninja War to break out, and the first response is no surprise. On the other hand, there is nothing to lose by verbally responding, but it can also show that Sand Shinobi likes peace. Why not do it? Rock Shinobi still has a wait-and-see attitude, but their attitude is also obvious. To be honest, they are indeed frightened by the power of Tien Jimura, and they are also very close to Tien Jimura, for fear that Tien Jimura will directly send people to conflict with them. In that case, they will be plunged into war. Actively initiate war and passively accept war, but there are two concepts. Rock Shinobi hopes that he is the former, but looking at the recent performance of Tien Nomura, they may be the latter, so in this case, war it is a good thing for Rock Shinobi not to affect himself. As the participants of this war, Konoha and Cloud Shinobi did not state at the first moment, the former was still very alert, because after all Mist Shinobi and Tien Village are allied, so in Konoha's view, Mist Shinobi's words are credible doubtful. Cloud Shinobi wanted to end the war very much, but couldn't swallow it. That's the general mentality. Shi Shangyang's position was very direct. After Yagura issued a note to the outside world, he directly asked the Konoha frontline team to retreat to show their attitude, and at the same time, it also made the team in the Kingdom of Thunder shrink their defense, gave Cloud Shinobi a usable step. If Reikage was not seriously injured, they would have to fight back again, but the current situation is not optimistic, so they did not show their strength in words, but quickly made a statement that they hoped the war would stop. It's not good if you don't make a statement. Anyone who has such a group of murderers in their family probably won't think it's a good thing, and it's even estimated that they can't sleep well. Katakana middle. Katakana middle. Seeking flowers advertisement. Then things were simple. Yagura, in the name of Mizukage, initiated an application for the Five Shadows talks, and then received responses from the other 4 villages. In fact, there has always been a set of official communication channels between the 5 ninja villages. This channel is the Five Shadow Talks. This is a tradition that has survived since the end of Sengoku and the establishment of the ninja village model. The Five Shadows talks will not be held in any of the 5 ninja villages. Instead, they will be held in the neutral country of the ninja world, the Iron Country. Only as a neutral country can the Five Shadows talks be held without any bias. Therefore, when the shadows of the other 4 villages agreed to Yagura's proposal, the Five Shadow talks began to start the preparatory work according to the previous practice. From the very beginning, he thought about how to make the ninja world famous without completely engulfing the ninja world, and the best way is to launch a regional war, and then use war as a threat, forced Konoha to truce, and finally held the Five Shadows talks. Through this Five Shadow talks, Tien Jimura will release his goodwill to the outside world, and at the same time, he will also strive for his position in the world of ninja. At this point, Shi Shangyang's plan for this war has been largely completed, and the rest is the Five Shadows talks. Shi Shangyang will represent Tianjikan and strive for Tianjikan in the Five Shadows talks. Interests. It will take a certain amount of time to hold the Five Shadows talks, but Tien Jimura has also made a statement with practical actions, saying that during the Five Shadows talks, there will be no more wars. Point 0. Because Tien Jikun is one of the parties in the war, Shi Shangyang will also be invited to attend this Five Shadows talk. This is what Tien Jikun won with his strong performance during this period. Of course, this is also Shi Shangyang. It has been planned before. It's just that there was an accident in the middle, and before the fight with Konoha, Cloud Shinobi slammed into it, and it was more or less suicide. Please subscribe. Inch. At this point, Shi Shangyang was relieved. He has always agreed that war is a continuation of Zhengji, and war is only a means, not an end. Now that the purpose of the war has been achieved, the convening of the Five Shadows talks is his purpose. Chapter 286. The talk begins. Please subscribe. As the shadows of the various shinobi villages agreed to hold the Five Shadow talks, Shi Shangyang cooperated naturally, and the war between Tanokura and Konoha was basically over temporarily. Only Cloud Shinobi, Tanokura still remained. Harassment with a small group of people, in order to put some pressure on Raikage and them. Time passed, almost half a month passed in the blink of an eye, and the situation in the ninja world did not change much. Konoha's side is a little fortunate, because Cloud Shinobi of the Five Shadow talks, Tianjimura's side's actions have stopped, and they have voluntarily retreated before that, so that their pressure on the front line has plummeted, and they have free time to deal with the Five Shadow talks. This is not a trivial matter, because the Five Shadows talks will be held in the country of Iron according to the rules, so Namikaze Minato, who is Hokage, naturally wants to leave Konoha to go there, but for Konoha who is at war, it is a point of concern. Good news came from Mist Shinobi's side of 23, that Shi Shangyang, the warrant of Tien Village, had agreed to Mizukage's proposal, and during the Five Shadow talks, he would voluntarily order a suspension of the war to create a new environment for the Five Shadow talks, stable conditions. If someone else said this, Konoha would definitely not believe it, but for Yagura, the initiator of the Five Shadow talks, it is convincing. There is no other reason. Mist Shinobi and Tien Nomura are allies on the bright side. It stands to reason that when Tien Nomura and Konoha were at war, Mist Shinobi should take the initiative to help, but in fact, during the war, Wying did not do this. Actions in this regard. Konoha is vigilant about this, and has dispatched manpower to advance defense in the sea facing Mist Shinobi, but from the beginning to now, no ninjas from Mist Shinobi have appeared. Therefore, Konoha judged that the two sides, who were allies, did not reach an agreement in this regard. And then Mizukage Yagura proposed to hold the Five Shadows talks, which also confirmed their guess from the side, so Konoha's suspicion is not serious about Yagura's words. It is also for this reason that 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato left Konoha early and took Konoha's team to the Iron Country. It is worth mentioning that the Kingdom of Iron is not far from the Kingdom of Fields, just on the edge of the Kingdom of Taki, and the other side is the Kingdom of Fields. If you want to enter the country of Iron, you have to go to the country of Taki or the country of Fields. As a side of Konoha, it is natural to go to the country of Taki. On the other hand, Cloud Shinobi is a bit more troublesome. Their people have to take a detour, so they can only go by sea. Otherwise, if they want to enter the country of Iron, they can only go through the country of Tien, which is obviously unwilling to them. Fortunately, at this stage, the Five Shadows talks are inevitable. Shi Shangyang will not embarrass the people of Cloud Shinobi about this kind of thing, so he did not send anyone to harass Raikage and his party. The Iron Country, located at the northern end of the ninja world, is a bitter cold place. At the same time, because there are no ninjas in the Iron Country, its status in the ninja world is very special. No one would think that the Iron Country is a threat. In addition, the land of the Iron Country is very barren, and it is only enough to support a certain number of people. Except for the many metal ore veins within the country, there are no other specialties. Therefore, strictly speaking, the Iron Country is not strong. Advertisement. It is precisely because of this that the Iron Nation can stand in the ninja world as a neutral country for a long time. At the same time, because of the neutrality, many ninja villages have placed them in the ninja world to mediate many disputes in the ninja world country to deal with. The first Five Shadow meeting after the establishment of the Ninja Wuda Ninja Village was held in the Iron Country. During that meeting, first Hokage Senju Hashirama distributed the 9-tailed beasts to each ninja village, and also established the ninja village. The distribution of power in the world, this distribution of tailed beasts has continued to this day. It is also because of this that the Five Shadows talks have become a common practice in the Iron Country. Today's Iron Country is much more serious than before, and the streets of the village are full of samurai patrolling, because today is the day the Five Shadows talks will be held. The leader of the Iron Country, Mifune, looked serious and asked the people around him, "How are the preparations for the Five Shadows meeting?" The samurai on the side said solemnly, "The venue is ready. Among the Five Shadows, Lord Tsuchikage, Lord Mizukage, and Lord Kazekage have all arrived, and now only Lord Raikage and Lord Hokage are missing." Mifune nodded slightly and asked again, "How long will it take for them to arrive?" The person Kaido, the person in charge of the liaison, said that Raikage-sama and Hokage-sama will be able to arrive today, and it should be not far from our side. 99. Where is the land of the land? When will their leader arrive? The man hesitated for a moment, and then said, Tien Jiguo did not send anyone to contact us, because we couldn't get in touch, so we still don't know when the leader of Tien Jikun will arrive. Maybe Mizukage should know a little about this. Do you need to ask? Mifune thought for a while, then shook his head slightly and said, "Let's wait first, since TNG Village has already agreed, the leader of TNG Village will definitely come." The man nodded and said nothing more. Just at this time, someone came to Weiwei to report. Mifune-sama, Raikage-sama and Hokage-sama arrived at the same time and are outside the village. Mifune stood up, his expression became more serious, and he said solemnly, "Follow me to meet me." Yes. I saw Mifune with a kind of samurai, and walked quickly to the gate of the village, where they met Reikage and Hokage. The two sides arrived at the same time, which was more or less a coincidence, but the two sides did not exchange any greetings. Advertisement Reikage was wrapped in bandages, and obviously his injuries were not fully healed. With him was Killer Bee and a group of more than 10 Cloud Shinobi ninjas. There were also more than 10 people in Hokage's team, and more than 10 people were also Jonin level. It could be seen that Konoha was very nervous about Namikaze Minato's safety. "Welcome, you two. The accommodation has been prepared for Hokage-sama and Reikage-sama. It's been a long journey, everyone can go and rest first," Mifune said. Reikage snorted coldly and asked, "Have those guys all arrived?" Naturally, he was referring to other shadows. Mifune was not surprised by this attitude, nodded and said, "Yes, Tsuchikage, Mizukage and Kazuki have all arrived. That is to say, the five shadows talks can begin, right?" Reikage I 3.1 asked again. Mifune shook his head slightly. "I'm sorry, Your Excellency Reikage, the five shadows talks may have to wait for a while, because there are still less people from Tien Jimura." When Reikage heard this, anger suddenly appeared on his face. "Is it those damn guys? Don't worry about them, just hold the five shadows meeting." Mifune still shook his head. "Sorry, as the organizer of this five shadows talk, I have to make sure that everyone invited is present." Reikage I wanted to say something, but was persuaded by the people around him, and finally he could only snort. Namikaze Minato was much more polite and smiled, "I'm sorry for the inconvenience." Mifune also smiled. "You're welcome, this is a rule that has been set from the beginning, and please understand that Lord Hokage." Chapter 287 Tensions, for subscription, look over there. Just when everyone was still polite at the entrance of the village, a samurai reminded. Everyone turned their heads to look, and saw a group of people in the distance coming from far to near, not slow, and stopped not far from the entrance of the village. All of these people wore a small flower forehead protector representing Tien-ji-kun, wearing a ninja vest, and the leader was a young man in his early 20s. Although many people present had not seen it directly, they knew it through various aspects. Pass. It was none other than Shi Shangyang and his party. "Hey, everyone is here. Did Your Excellency Mifune come to greet us on purpose? That's very polite." Shi Shangyang greeted him with a smile, but he didn't care about Reikage's eyes that wanted to eat him, and brought his subordinates closer. As an invitee, Tien Jimura will naturally not miss this five shadows talk. After all, this five shadows talk was held to solve this war. As a party to the war, Tien Jimura has enough strength to naturally, you will be invited. If this is a small ninja village, it is estimated that there is no qualification to come to the five shadows talks. B***************, D. How dare you appear in front of me? Lei 14 Ying'ai was instantly furious, he couldn't control the anger in his heart at all. Strands of electric light burst out from his body, and looked at Shi Shangyang with murderous expression. Shi Shangyang just curled his lips and said, "Has Lord Hokage forgotten where this is? Are you sure you want to fight with me here? Or, haven't the defeats on the battlefield made you realize the reality?" Hateful. Feeling provoked, Reikage couldn't bear it any longer, so he had to act directly. Killer Bee suddenly jumped out and stood in front of Reikage I, and came to Shi Shangyang with a set of freestyle. Yo, guys from TNG village, don't run away when you come here, eldest brother's temper is not very good, you'd better not make trouble, yao, check trouble. Advertisement Shi Shangyang. To be honest, in the face of such an erotic, he didn't want to pay attention to it. If it wasn't for a serious occasion, he wouldn't even have the time to take a second look. Fortunately, the last time he fought with this guy, he was wearing a vest, otherwise let this guy know that he has played against him. I am afraid that it is not a lot of rap, thinking about it makes people chill. Fortunately, this guy jumped out and rapped down, successfully making the dignified atmosphere of the scene a little weird. Even Reikage I couldn't help but twitched a few times at this time, and the anger that had just accumulated had nowhere to radiate. Namikaze Minato looked at Shi Shangyang with a slightly complicated expression. He naturally knew Shi Shangyang, and even had contact with him during the Third Ninja World War. But the world was messing with people, and he would never have thought that Shi Shangyang, a talented junior from the village, would actually betray the village and become a betrayal. Moreover, he would never have imagined that such a young man, in the past few years, had created TNG village out of nothing. This is already a very shocking thing, but the most unbelievable thing for Namikaze Minato is that Shi Shangyang actually took the initiative to launch this war, and Konoha suffered huge losses because of it. Regardless of the enemy's position, Namikaze Minato agrees with Shi Shangyang's ability and talent, but it is more appropriate to admire him. Because he knew that if he was Shi Shangyang, he would never be able to achieve this level, let alone develop TNG village to be as strong as it is now. But admiration is only personal psychology. As Hokage, he needs to show his attitude towards Shi Shangyang. Shi Shangyang. He said solemnly, as a member of Zungjin Konoha, I really don't want to see you under such circumstances. 55. Shi Shangyang smiled slightly, and then said, I'm really sorry, Your Excellency Hokage, looking at some things now, it should be life. So, what was your purpose in starting the war? Namikaze Minato asked. Shi Shangyang shrugged. This kind of thing. Let's talk about it at the Five Shadows Talk. Are you sure you want to spread these words here? Advertisement. Whether it was from Cloud Shinobi or Konoha, after seeing Shi Shangyang and others appear, they all showed anger to some extent, but because of the situation at this time, they had to restrain their emotions, so the atmosphere of the scene became solemn again. Fortunately, there is still the leader of the Iron Country, Mifune, and at this time, he opened his mouth to make a round. Everyone, this is not the place to talk. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Besides, since everyone is here, the Five Shadows Talks can be held tomorrow, so it's better to be in a hurry now. 35. With some of his persuasion, everyone will naturally not continue to entangle here. Whether it is Reikage and his party, or Hokage and his party, they can only endure their anger and choose to follow Mifune and others into the village. Reikage's eyes stared at Shi Shangyang. The anger in his eyes did not hide in the slightest. It was obvious that if he changed the place, he would definitely do something to Shi Shangyang. Shi Shangyang didn't care much about this, so he brought his entourage into the village. Shi Shangyang did not bring many people here this time, that is to say, there were only about a dozen people who were similar to the shadow entourage of other ninja villages. In order not to cause unnecessary trouble, the entourage was the native ninja of the village. The people from Hyuga and Uchiha came, but they brought a whirlpool who had appeared before. The Five Shadows Talks are extremely important to the Iron Country, so apart from the patrolling warriors in the village, it is very good to see civilians appearing. I think 203 should have been arranged in advance, which affected the Five Shadows Talks on the other hand. The normal convening. Shi Shangyang has no interest in this village, because there is nothing worth seeing here, except that there are more blacksmith shops. Other places are not comparable to Wudaren village, let alone Hachan village. Today is the day the Five Shadows Talks will be held. The Iron Nation has come to inform us very early, and around 9 o'clock in the morning, someone will lead Shi Shangyang and others to the venue. Please subscribe. The Five Shadows meeting is a communication mechanism between Wudaren village. Shi Shangyang was invited to participate, but he did not have a place to attend, but set up a separate place for him outside the meeting table of the Five Shadows. Everyone, why are you looking at me like this? Is there anything you want to say to me? Shi Shangyang smiled. After a night of silence, it was the next day. When the Five Shadows sat down, no surprise, the five of them set their eyes on Shi Shangyang at the same time. Shi Shangyang didn't care much about this situation was nothing to him. As long as the Five Shadows Talks could be held, it would have accomplished the task for him. The people of the five villages were separated, each village had its own residence, Shi Shangyang and his party were arranged, and the rest was waiting for the Five Shadow Talks to be held. Chapter 288. Reikage I have aggrieved, for subscription. The venue is very empty, there is only a fan-shaped table in the middle, and the Five Shadows are arranged in it. On the opposite side of the table, there is actually a separate seat for Yang, and there is also a table in front of him, facing the Five Shadows. At this time, the Five Shadow Talks have not officially started, but everyone has already taken their seats. Behind each shadow, there are two ninjas, all with solemn expressions. Not surprisingly, Shi Shangyang received everyone's attention as soon as he came in. Watching Shi Shiran sit down, everyone looked different, some were angry, some were calm, some were staring, in short, different looks. One of the angry ones is Reikage I. As the one who lost the most in this war, Reikage I has a reason to be angry with Shi Shangyang, which is also related to his temper. It is good. Konoha also suffered losses in the war, but as Hokage, he did not show his anger on his face, because he knew very well that doing so would not help at all, but let Shi Shangyang see clearly. Only a guy like Reikage I who is used to solving problems with strength would have such a performance. Mifune coughed lightly, stood in the middle and said loudly, at the suggestion of Lord Mizukage, this Five Shadows meeting was specially convened. So everyone, now I announce the official start of the Five Shadows meeting, and the topic is about the return of Tien Jamura and Konoha. There is the issue of the war in Cloud Shinobi, whether to end the war, when to end the war, and what if it does not end the war. Please start the discussion with His Excellency Shi Shangyang, the leader of the Five Shadows and Tien Village. The Kingdom of Iron is the organizer of the Five Shadows Talks. Mifune here is more of a moderator and mediator. He will not interfere in the agenda of the meeting, nor will he express any opinions on it, his neutral attitude. Humph. Not surprisingly, Reikage I was the first to speak. He first snorted coldly, then stared at Shi Shangyang and said, as the initiator of this war, Tien Jamura should compensate the Kingdom of Thunder and Cloud Shinobi for the real deal. All kinds of losses, otherwise, will be the most direct retaliation from Cloud Shinobi. Mizukage Yagura glanced at Reikage I with a strange expression, opened his mouth slightly, but didn't say anything, just shook his head gently. Tsuchikage Onogi looked at Shi Shangyang with a smile on his face, and only smiled contemptuously at Reikage's remarks, and also didn't say much. As for Hokage Namikaze Minato, he originally planned to speak, but was preempted by Reikage I, but after hearing what Reikage I said, he could only sigh secretly. Pig teammates. What situation is your Cloud Shinobi in now? Don't you have any points in your heart? To actually speak harshly to Shi Shangyang is simply beyond his head. Advertisement. Sure enough, after hearing Reikage I say this, Shi Shangyang grinned and said inexplicably. So, does your Excellency Reikage have no plans to stop the war? If that's the case, then you come to participate in this what's the point of the Shadow Talks? Just to put a few harsh words in front of me? If Lord Reikage really thinks so, then congratulations, you succeeded, I heard your harsh words and affirmed them. 39. There was no refutation, just a few ordinary words, but the remaining words of Reikage were directly blocked in his mouth, which immediately made him even more angry. Tsuchikage Onogi laughed when he heard the words, completely ignoring Reikage's cannibalistic gaze, and instead said, Your Excellency Reikage, don't say such things on this occasion, it will only make people laugh. If Cloud Shinobi is really capable, if so, why not just defeat Tien Nomura? 35. This rhetorical question almost didn't make Reikage die of anger. At this time, Mizuka's Yagura persuaded, Your Excellency Reikage, let's say something useful for this meeting. 99. Namikaze Minato was silent. Such a threat is really out of place on this occasion, at least no one present will take this threat to heart, let alone Shi Shangyang. Damn B***************************** D. Tanokura is the initiator of this war, so he must be punished, am I wrong? Strictly speaking, the war was indeed provoked by Tanokura, and he was right in saying that, but it had little to do with Cloud Shinobi. Hearing Shi Shangyang chuckle. Then I want to ask Your Excellency Reikage, why did you send someone into the country of soup? Naturally, it is to guard against the land of the land, Reikage said confidently. Shi Shangyang pouted. When you say this, do you believe it, Lord Reikage? He said with a faint tone. Cloud Shinobi took advantage of the fact that the war between Tien Village and Konoha started, thinking that Tien Village was a weak ninja village, and wanted to take the opportunity to invade Tien Village, and then seek benefits. But it is estimated that Your Excellency Reikage has not thought about it. Tien Village is not easy to mess with, right? 39. This is a face-to-face slap, but what Shi Shangyang said is true, even with the thickness of Reikage's face, there are no suitable words to refute at this time, because it is the truth. Ha ha. Tsuchikage Onogi burst out laughing. He is now very glad that he made a choice at that time. He didn't act like Cloud Shinobi and took action against Tien Nomura. Maybe it won't be as bad as Cloud Shinobi is now, but it's definitely so easy to beat Tanokura. Advertisement. So seeing Reikage shriveled and Tsuchikage of Iwagakure as his old rival, Onogi will naturally not miss this opportunity to laugh at each other. You B********************* D. Are you trying to fight me? This is said to Oyemu. Reikage hates Shi Shangyang is right, but it does not mean that he is not a big Yemu. On the contrary, compared to Shi Shangyang, Reikage will not miss such an opportunity if he has the opportunity to defeat Ono Muha. Cough cough. Mifune coughed and said solemnly, Your Excellency Reikage, please calm down, and Your Excellency Tsuchikage, please don't say anything irrelevant to this issue. He had to preside over the meeting, and it was natural for him to say a few words in such a meaningless quarrel. Shi Shangyang looked at the two arguing with a half smile, but didn't say much. At this time, Namikaze Minato suddenly opened his mouth and said, Your Excellency Shi Shangyang, Tien Nomura initiated a war, do you agree with the dragon on this point? Shi Shangyang smiled slightly when he heard the words, but did not refute, but nodded. I agree with this. Then, Konoha has the right to demand compensation from Tien Nomura. Does His Excellency Shi Shangyang agree? Shi Shangyang shook his head. It's true that I initiated the war, but Konoha initiated the war. You sent an assassination team into Tien Village to carry out an assassination mission. Does Your Excellency Hokage agree with this? Namikaze Minato frowned slightly, then nodded. Indeed, I have given such an order. Then, as the victim, is it reasonable for us to fight back? Namikaze Minato shook his head. The reason why we send an assassination team is just to remove Konoha's rebellion. As the leader of a village, wouldn't His Excellency Shi Shangyang do this? Chapter 289. The sixth largest country in the ninja world. Please subscribe. Shi Shangyang just shook his head. I don't agree with Lord Hokage's statement. One thing that needs to be explained is that for you, it is betrayal, but for us Tien Village, it is our companion. You can't call it a betrayal, Shinobu, then other villages can't accept them, which is obviously unreasonable. You can even ask the other four shadows, if they were replaced, would they be willing to accept the Hyuga clan? 9. This is obvious. It is estimated that it will be impatient to change to any village. Let alone Hyuga, who is a blood follower, even if it is a normal ninja, the shadows present will find a way to accept it. Shi Shangyang added. So under such circumstances, Lord Hokage dispatched manpower to enter the village of Tien to carry out an assassination mission, which is naturally a provocation to the village of Tien, and it is normal for him to retaliate against the village of Tien. Namikaze Minato frowned slightly, obviously dissatisfied with Shi Shangyang's statement, and said, I don't agree with His Excellency Shi Shangyang's statement, but this matter can be put aside for now. Then the matter of Tien Village provoking a war, Tien the village should also be responsible for this. Shi Shangyang shook his head. I also don't agree with Lord Hokage's statement that Tien Village started the war because of Konoha's persecution. Obviously, neither of them will let go of these 203 issues. As a shadow, they are familiar with this kind of war of words. Then the two started a verbal confrontation because of the start of the war, but no one could convince the other. Seeing this, Mizuka's Yagura interjected, there is no need to argue about this issue. In fact, at this stage, solving the problem is what we all need to do. I believe that everyone does not want the fourth ninja war to start. If the war is not over, then it is very likely that it will eventually spread to the entire ninja world. The people present agreed with this, and Reikage snorted coldly. as the wrong initiator of this war, Tien Nomura needs to compensate the Kingdom of Thunder and Cloud Shinobi for all the losses in the war, otherwise we will continue fight to the end. Yagura shook his head slightly. You have reached this level in the Land of Thunder, and you have to continue to be stubborn. He really couldn't understand what Reikage was thinking. Tsuchikage Onogi said, I agree with Lord Reikage's statement. It's not too big of a deal to watch the fun. Tsuchikage Onogi said this. Obviously he was trying to help the fire. Reikage's words just now were angry words, but they also represented his views on this matter. Obviously, he really wanted Tien Nomura to take all the responsibility for this war. But being so supported by Tsuchikage Onogi made Reikage's words seem like he didn't want to end the war. Shi Shangyang just glanced at Tsuchikage Onogi, and then said to Reikage, Your Majesty Reikage, the war can end, but you must be the wrong party. Apologize to Tien Nomura, and make corresponding compensations. He didn't answer what Reikage said just now, but spoke his own thoughts. Sure enough, these words made Reikage even more angry. Advertisement boom. Reikage stood up as soon as she slapped the table. B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* Shi Shangyang was surprised. Isn't it a full-scale war yet? 35. Reikage's tone was stagnant. Tsuchikage Onogi snickered. As the only one watching the show, he is in a very good mood now. Anyway, in this situation, Rock Shinobi can't get any benefit, so he can just watch the show. Mizuka's Yagura shook his head slightly, and then said solemnly, Your Excellency Reikage, and Your Excellency Shi Shangyang, if both of you only come here in this form, then there is no need to continue the Five Shadow talks. It is proposed to hold the Five Shadows talks so that everyone can sit down calmly and discuss how to end the war. Not here to listen to your arguments. After speaking, he looked at Shi Shangyang and said, As an ally, I ask Your Excellency Shi Shangyang as an ally, can I withdraw from the Country of Thunder? Shi Shangyang thought, BEDB, for a while, then nodded and said, yes. After getting a satisfactory answer, Yagura looked at Reikage again and said, Then, Your Excellency Reikage, are you willing to end the war with Tien Village? Reikage's mentality is very complicated. On the one hand, he really wants to end this war. After all, Cloud Shinobi suffered a lot of losses in this war. At the same time, he also found the difficulty of Tien Village, and knew that if the war continues, Cloud Shinobi's losses will get bigger. But on the other hand, as one of the great ninja villages in the ninja world, and also the most militant ninja village, he didn't want to end the war just like that, because he really wanted to get revenge. But reality didn't allow it, so he said, It's okay to end the war, but Tien Nomura must make compensation to the Kingdom of Thunder and Cloud Shinobi. This is my bottom line. Mizuka's Yagura shook his head. So, Lord Shi Shangyang, do you agree with Lord Reikage's proposal? Shi Shangyang sneered. I don't agree. Yagura nodded slightly and said to Reikage. Then the problem is obvious now. Cloud Shinobi and Tien Nomura both have the will to end the war. You can each take a step back. Tien Nomura retreats from the Land of Thunder. Cloud, how about Shinobi dropping the claim? Advertisement, it's impossible. 9 Reikage certainly disagrees. Shi Shangyang shrugged and said calmly, Then let's continue the war, anyway, it won't be us who will lose in the end. You guy. Reikage's temper felt a little uncontrollable. If it weren't for the occasion, he would really have to do it if he wasn't sure. At this time, Hokage Namikaze Shui and said, Your Excellency Shi Shangyang of Tien Village, you seem to have forgotten a little bit, but really speaking, you are also Konoha's rebellion. Shi Shangyang smiled slightly. So what, is Your Excellency Hokage trying to punish me? Namikaze Minato shook his head. No, I just want to know, does His Excellency Shi Shangyang agree to take the initiative to stop the war? A few people were stunned for a moment, and then they regained their senses, and immediately understood that Shi Shangyang's intention was actually this. Shi Shangyang grinned and said, Everyone present, you need to recognize and affirm Tien Zhiguo's identity and status as the 6th grade country in the ninja world. Obviously, the emergence of the 6th power will erode the interests of other ninja villages. Even Reikage can see this clearly. Please subscribe. I disagree. Shi Shangyang just shrugged. It doesn't really matter to me whether it's over or not, I only care about one point. What? Your Excellency Shi Shangyang, please say, Namikaze Minato said. The first person to jump out was Reikage. He said, There can be no 6th power in the ninja world, and the situation of Wu power has been set from the very beginning. Chapter 290 Direct Threat. Please subscribe. Shi Shangyang doesn't care when the war will stop or whether he can get compensation for the war from other villages. Now is the peace period after the end of the Third Ninja World War, because the pattern of the ninja world Wu Daguo and Wuda Ninja Village has been finalized. If Tien Zhiguo does not obtain the corresponding status in this regard, it will affect the subsequent development. Question. To put it bluntly, this is a struggle for the right to speak. In the past, TNG Village could develop slowly in the dark, but now TNG Village can no longer do so, because the benefits brought by the development of the secret can no longer keep up with the current TNG Village. The pace of development, over time, will slow down the overall rhythm of TNG Village. So at this time, it becomes necessary to let Tien Nomura appear in the foreground. Since it is to be revealed, it is naturally impossible to come as a small ninja village. In that case, just some trivial matters can waste a lot of the village's experience. Therefore, in this case, there must be enough prestige and enough status, Kakesing. Take Konoha and Tien village as a comparison. With Konoha's reputation in the ninja world, if you want to do something, you must pay less price and experience than Tien village to achieve it because of the superiority of your position. The purpose, this point is the benefit brought by the prestige of the strongest ninja village in the ninja world. And now, Tien Jikun is about to acquire this prestige, and the formation of this prestige is the result of Tien Jikun having the right to speak. Therefore, it is not important to Shi Shangyang that the truce does not stop. As for Reikajai's reaction, it is also normal. The situation in Wu Daguo was basically determined after the end of the Sengoku era. After 3 ninja wars, this situation has become more and more stable. Under the prestige of a big country, it will naturally bring various benefits. As Reikage of Cloud Shinobi Village, Reikajai is naturally clear. If there is another big country at this time, it will naturally have an impact on the existing situation. The most important thing is to affecting the interests of the Kingdom of Thunder and Cloud Shinobi. This is naturally not what he wants to see. Tsuchikage Onogi narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at Shi Shangyang carefully. He already understood Shi Shangyang's plan at this time. As Tsuchikage, he naturally didn't want another big country in the ninja world, so he said, "Lord Shi Shangyang, this was it already planned?" Shi Shangyang just smiled and didn't say much. "I don't agree either." 35. Advertisement. It was Namikaze Minato who spoke, and he naturally wouldn't let Shi Shangyang get his wish. It is reasonable to say anything against him at this time. No one knows better than him what a big country represents. Konoha is the strongest in the ninja world. Of course, he doesn't want another big country to profit from this invisible benefit. Mizukage Yagura smiled slightly and said, "I agree that Tien Jiguo will become the 6th great country in the ninja world." 99. Tsuchikage Onogi frowned, glanced at Yagura, and sneered slightly, and didn't say much. Namikaze Minato's face was calm, and it seemed that he was not surprised by Yagura's statement. Shi Shangyang smiled and said at this time, "Everyone, why don't you agree that Tien Jiguo will become the 6th big country in the ninja world? Is it because of your interests? Think about it, the situation of the ninja world's big country has lasted for nearly 100 years. Of course you don't want anything to change." Saying that, Shi Shangyang shook his head. "I was wrong. You also want to change, but what you want to change is not to increase the number of big countries, but to reduce the number of big countries, otherwise, the previous 3 ninja world wars it won't appear." With a smile on his face, he tapped lightly on the table with his fingers, and said, "Then you might as well think about it this way, if you don't agree that Tien Jiguo will become the 6th great country in the ninja world, then I definitely don't want to stop the war. Since the war cannot be stopped, the war between Tien no Kuni and Konoha and Cloud Shinobi will intensify. When one of the 3 of us shows weakness, will the remaining 3 be able to hold back? At that time, the 4th the sub-ninja war is inevitable, right?" The 5 shadows are silent, quietly waiting for the following. I heard Shi Shangyang say again, "Then what will Rock Shinobi do at that time? Will it target the country of Tien? Or the country of Wind? But it won't be the country of Fire, right? Oh yes, you guys, it's not that I haven't done this before, so it's not surprising. So what will the country of the Wind choose? No one would have thought that the village where he lives is likely to be removed from the next ninja war." 39. Katakana middle dot katakana middle dot katakana middle dot seeking flowers katakana middle dot. Shi Shangyang was grinning and his tone was sonorous. "I can tell everyone without concealment that at that time, Tien Jikun will definitely be able to destroy one of your ninja villages, and the ninja world will still be in the situation of Wu Daguo. Therefore, Your Excellency Reikage, you must be against it." "Me? Are you afraid that I will destroy your Cloud Shinobi village before the 4th ninja war?" This is very direct, basically intimidating. With Reikage's temper, he couldn't bear it, stood up without any hesitation, smashed the solid wood table with a slap, and said furiously, "You angered me B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Immediately, a bolt of lightning shot out from his body, and then the whole person rushed towards Shi Shangyang like lightning. Point 0. Clang, clang. Shi Shangyang didn't do anything, but the two guards behind him came out of the fight in an instant, pulled out his ninja sword and slashed towards Raikage. However, the two's ninja swords were blocked by Killer B and another person who appeared in the next moment. Raikage was extremely fast, almost instantly in front of Shi Shangyang, and smashed his fist against his cheek. But the next moment, Raikage's fist stopped less than 5 centimeters in front of Shi Shangyang's cheek. The electric light on it was still flickering, and even the tensed muscles on his arm could be seen, but it was so abrupt. Stopped in front of Shi Shangyang, not an inch. Naturally, it was not Raikage who stopped voluntarily, but that he was controlled. Under his feet, a dark shadow did not know when to accommodate Raikage's shadow, and his movements stopped immediately. Namikaze Minato frowned. He naturally saw that this was shadow imitation, but he didn't know where Shi Shangyang learned this secret ninjutsu from the Nara family. Shi Shangyang tilted his head slightly, the smile on his face did not change, but his eyes narrowed. Your Excellency Raikage, are you planning to stay with us in Tien Village? Or, the Five Shadows meeting is just a place for you to express your gratitude? If so, what is the purpose of your coming here? The 291st chapter admits successively, please subscribe. Whoa! Shi Shangyang's voice just fell, the door of the hall was opened a few times out, and then a group of warriors in armor rushed in, and in a blink of an eye they surrounded everyone present, and the warrior leader Mifune was even more serious and solemn. Your Excellency Raikage, and Your Excellency Shi Shangyang, your actions violated the rules of the Five Shadows talks, please be careful. Shi Shangyang just smiled and didn't say anything more. With a thought, he withdrew the shadow imitation technique, and he didn't say a word, just looked at Raikage quietly, waiting for his reaction. Raikage's face was gloomy and uncertain, and his heart was obviously not calm, but after all, he did not continue to work, gritted his teeth and snorted, and then turned around and sat down again. When the two guards saw this, they also stepped back in tacit understanding, and then stood beside the leaders of each family again. Seeing this, Mifune let out a sigh of relief, 23, and waved his hand slightly, and the group of warriors left again with the sound of clattering leaves. The scene was quiet, but Raikage heard so much, but the atmosphere at the scene seemed very solemn. Your Excellency Raikage, please don't make any drastic actions, otherwise, according to the rules of the Five Shadows talk, you will be invited out. As the host, Mifune naturally has the right to say such things. Although there are no explicit rules for the Five Shadows talks, there are some tacit traditions that must be followed. He said and looked at Shi Shangyang, who just smiled, as if nothing that had just happened had affected him. Seeing this, Mifune didn't say anything more. After all, what happened just now was Raikage's head. As the host, he naturally didn't want to warn Shi Shangyang. Everyone, does the meeting need to be suspended? He asked the person in charge. Shi Shangyang waved his hand. Go on. Mizukage Yagura also nodded. It's okay, I agree to continue. Tsuchikage Onogi originally wanted to watch the play, but now it seems that the play can no longer be watched, so he said, I agree too. 35. Mifune turned his gaze to Namikaze Minato, who nodded and said nothing. Advertisement finally, Mifune turned his eyes to Raikage, who gritted his teeth and had a gloomy face, just snorted and turned his head away without saying anything more. Seeing this, Mifune breathed a sigh of relief and said loudly, the meeting continues, please speak in an orderly manner. Saying that, he stepped aside. The atmosphere is still a little dignified, it seems that no one wants to be the first to speak at this time. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang chuckled lightly, and then said, everyone, this Five Shadows meeting is to solve problems, not to whoever complains here. I have already stated my conditions. It is okay to end the war. As long as everyone recognizes the status of Tianjiguo as a great country, the war will automatically end. He repeated his conditions, his smile remained the same, and he quietly waited for everyone's reaction. Raikage's face was gloomy and he didn't speak. Obviously, what happened just now had already made him lose face, and his mood would not be much better. Yagura smiled and was the first to speak out this time. I agree that for the peace of the ninja world, it is necessary to end the war. And Tanokuni has shown his ability to deal with Konoha and Cloud Shinobi alone, without falling into the slightest disadvantage, which has shown their strength. Therefore, Tianjiguo has become the sixth great country in the ninja world, and it is only natural. We should not waste time on this kind of thing. Even if everyone disagrees, Tianjiguo's strength is already a fact. Opposition here can be changed. Tsuchikage Onogi thought for a while, and then nodded slightly. That's true, so I agree. The agreement of Mizukage and Tsuchikage immediately changed the atmosphere of the scene. Feng Ying, who had not spoken much, nodded at this time and said, I have no objection. He was almost a transparent person during the entire Five Shadows talks. In fact, he had never had any dealings with Shi Shangyang, and the Kingdom of Wind and the Kingdom of Tien were far away, so this war had nothing to do with the Kingdom of Wind, so it has always been in the state of watching the play. This time, the scene became 3-2, and even if Raikage and Hokage Namikaze Minato disagreed, it didn't change the outcome. Simply, the two continued to remain silent without making a sound, but this was considered a tacit attitude. Seeing this, Shi Shangyang smiled and nodded slightly to Mifune, who then said solemnly, then regarding Your Excellency Shi Shangyang's proposal, the Five Shadow talks have been passed. Do you have any comments? I have no opinion. Yagura still took the lead. Tsuchikage Onogi nodded silently. Advertisement, I don't have any opinion either. Feng Luosha said. Seeing this, Mifune looked at Hokage Namikaze Minato and Raikage, but they remained silent. Okay, His Excellency Shi Shangyang's proposal has been officially passed, and Tianjiguo will become the sixth major country in the ninja world. Next, everyone can continue to discuss the next issue. Yudachi Yagura said. So, how should the war end, and when will it end? How should Konoha, Cloud Shinobi, and Tanokura deal with it? Shi Shangyang said directly. I still said that, if this proposal is passed, Tianjikun will withdraw the troops, and after this Five Shadows talks are over, I will issue the order to withdraw the troops. But after saying that, he paused slightly, then looked at Namikaze Minato and smiled. There is one thing I hope Konoha can do. Namikaze Minato looked directly at Shi Shangyang and waited for the next paragraph. I hope Konoha can revoke the treason and forbearance of Hyuga Branch House and Uchiha. Of course, if Konoha is not willing, it is as if I didn't say it. 5. This is just an incidental matter, whether Konoha is willing to cooperate or not is not important to him. Sure enough, Namikaze Minato immediately shook his head and said, their identity of rebellion will not change. Shi Shangyang shrugged and said with a smile, That's really a pity. What about my traitorous identity? Does Konoha still consider me a traitor? 5. Namikaze Minato frowned slightly, but still said, your traitor status can be revoked. After all, Shi Shangyang is also the leader of a village now, and Konoha does not revoke his rebellious identity, which is actually just a joke. Hearing that on 3.1, Shi Shangyang smiled even more. That's it, then I really thanked Konoha. 99. After speaking, he said to Raikage again, Your Excellency Raikage, I hope you Cloud Shinobi don't make any dangerous actions when we retreat from Tien Village, otherwise if you start a war again, the result will not be as it is now. So easy to solve. Raikage almost clenched his teeth, but in the end he just snorted and didn't say much. Next, there are other issues, such as the issue of compensation, which Shi Shangyang doesn't care about. He can voluntarily retreat, how could he care about these, but there should still be debates and fights. Therefore, regarding the compensation issue, another round of verbal confrontation broke out between Shi Shangyang, Namikaze Minato and Raikage I, but it was finally resolved satisfactorily. Chapter 292 Opportunities for Development, for subscription. According to past experience, the Five Shadows talks will undoubtedly last for 2 days, and the Five Shadows will take this opportunity to solve the various problems they have accumulated in the past in this Five Shadows talks. But obviously this time was different from the past, so the Five Shadows talks ended in less than a day. However, even in this short period of time, a lot of problems have been solved. First of all, the war can be stopped. This was decided at the beginning of the Five Shadows talks. Although the process was somewhat tortuous, a consensus was reached. The second is the issue of compensation for the war. This is the real problem. For this reason, Raikage I and Shi Shangyang quarreled for most of the day, and Namikaze Minato also assisted. Of course, most of the time it was Raikage I making a loud noise, and Shi Shangyang usually made Raikage I furious in a few words. But in the end, there is still a solution. First of all, the compensation from Tien Nomura and Konoha is written off, in exchange for the country of fire to open the market to the country of Tien, but Cloud Shinobi is not so lucky, because the Lord 14 the power has always been in the hands of the Master Shi Shangyang. The war can be stopped, but compensation must be made. The final result is that Mist Shinobi needs to pay 30 million taels of compensation to Tien Nomura. To be honest, this amount is not too much, at most it is only the reward of 10 or 20 S-rank tasks. The symbolic meaning is greater than the actual meaning. What Shi Shangyang wants is Raikage I bowing his head, that's all. Similarly, the Kingdom of Thunder also needs to open its market to the Kingdom of Tien, which is also one of the hard conditions. Those who can become shadows are basically not stupid. Even with the limited vision of the local world, Raikage I and Hokage Namikaze Minato are somewhat aware of the consequences of opening up the market, but Shi Shangyang promised to increase investment in the two countries in the future. The strength slightly reduced the two's concerns in this regard. In addition, for Shi Shangyang, the biggest gain of the Five Shadows talks is the completion of the normal diplomatic relations with Wu Daguo. After the normal diplomatic relations are established, the subsequent economic activities can be carried out naturally. All in all, the Five Shadow talks solved the current war problem in the ninja world, and at the same time allowed Tien Zhiguo to gain the status of a great power. This was achieved by Shi Shangyang. Although some of the Five Shadows were unwilling to accept it, it was probably the way it was. Advertisement: the Five Shadows talks are over, but the follow-up things will not end in a short time. The first is the issue of war. After the Five Shadows talks, Shi Shangyang ordered the team to withdraw from the front line of Konoha, leaving only a few elite teams for daily patrol tasks. As for the country of Lei, Shi Shangyang also issued an order to retreat, but the retreat here would not be so fast. He had to make the country of Lei feel the pressure. He knew very well that Raikage I would not be willing to be lonely. Even if the Five Shadow talks had already reached a conclusion, as long as this guy found a chance, Raikage I would definitely fight back. Cloud Shinobi's ninjas basically have this kind of virtue, fearful but not virtuous. Therefore, the withdrawal of troops in the country of Thunder will definitely not be as straightforward as the treatment of Konoha. Anyway, there is a lot of time, so it is enough to withdraw a little bit. After the Five Shadow talks, Wu Daguo successfully recognized Tien Zhiguo's status in the ninja world. This extra sixth power in the ninja world immediately made the whole ninja world boil. Ordinary people could not imagine that in such a situation next, someone actually did this, and directly rewrote the situation in the ninja world, so that the original situation of Wu Daguo became 6 major countries directly. The changes in the situation in the ninja world will definitely cause various problems, and it is not known how many people will secretly fall to the land of Tien. This is a battle of interests, nothing to say. Tien Village, the meeting room of the chief building. Everyone present had a look of excitement on their faces. They already knew the results of the Five Shadows talks. As one of the village's top executives, they knew very well that in the next period of time, Tien Zhiguo and Tianji Village would usher in a new era. Bo's huge development opportunities, both personal interests and village interests, will also be strengthened in the next long period of time, and it is precisely because of this that they are so happy. Shi Shangyang looked around for a week. There were Orochimaru, Nohara Rin, Hyuga, Vortex, Uchiha and other high-level executives in the meeting. Among them, the happiest people were those of the ninja clan, but Orochimaru and Nohara Rin were more calm. Advertisement: Shi Shangyang said solemnly, Everyone, the opportunity for the development of TNG village has come. In the next few years, you need to think carefully about how to strengthen the village and yourself. What I need to tell you is that the next development, if those who fail to seize the opportunity will be quickly abandoned by the times, so you need to take action and firmly grasp the development opportunities of the village. The people of the shinobi tribe were shocked, they were looking forward to it, and they were also a little nervous, but each of them had unconcealed movements on their faces. Now, I'll give the order. Shi Shangyang said solemnly. First of all, the village will usher in a new round of expansion. I have already made a complete plan in this regard. The benefits of infrastructure construction are huge, and it is also a great deal for you and your future families. Small opportunities, those who want to devote themselves to it, let their own ninjas practice in this area as soon as possible. 35. In short, Shi Shangyang will not let the benefits flow to a few people, which was decided when TNG village was established. The meeting was not long. Shi Shangyang just announced some things about the future development of the village, and the main target was to tell some ninjas who were doing it. As time goes by, TNG-kun will also become stronger. Shi Shangyang's original plan has come to an end now. The next step is to seize the peace of the ninja world during this period of time, and let Tianjiguo gradually reveal himself in front of the stage, so as to obtain more benefits. The second is production. In the next period of time, the demand for various supplies will usher in a blowout. You need to try each of you to invest in this area. 203 I will not give you any help. So you whether the investment in this area can earn enough benefits is not within my scope of consideration, it all depends on your family's respective abilities. Finally, regarding the investment in the village's military force, this is a hard condition. I will make an announcement later. You need to cooperate with the village to upgrade your combat power in order to deal with various situations in the ninja world in the future. Please subscribe. The ninja tribe is not really important to TNG-kun, but the benefits that should be given are still to be given. How much benefit they can get from this opportunity depends on their respective abilities. Of course, the biggest beneficiaries of development are the whole country of fields and villages of fields. For ordinary people, their opportunities are equally great, and it depends on the ability of individuals. Chapter 293 A few years later, please subscribe. 61 years in the ninja world, spring. Spring is cold, and all things recover. The country of fields, the village of fields. 6 or 7 years have passed since the last 5 shadows talks. During these 6 or 7 years, Tianjiguo has seized the opportunity of peaceful development. Under Shi Shangyang's arrangement, all industries of Tianjiguo are like a blowout. Compared with 6 or 7 years ago, TNG village has been expanded several times. Now it has lost the appearance of a village. Instead, it is more like the big city before Shi Shangyang passed through. It occupies a huge area and has complete facilities. Recently, I don't know where the rumors came from in TNG village. There is such a news among ordinary people. TNG village is going to be renamed, and it will not be called Tianjikan in the future, but Tianjidu. After that, the capital of Tien became the capital of heaven. The rumors had noses and eyes, so many residents believed them to be true. In the end, the rumors about this aspect also successfully fell into the ears of Shi Shangyang. The office of the chief of Tien village. No, it's the boss building to be exact. In the past few years, all walks of life have been developing and the momentum is unstoppable. As a result, the original chief building has undergone another round of revision and expansion. The current chief building is already a tall building with a height of more than 40. With the surrounding land demarcated, the entire chief building now includes 4 surrounding buildings. 50 buildings together form the Government Affairs Processing Center of Tianjiguo. In the huge office, Shi Shangyang looked at the information in his hand with a somewhat strange expression. Shi Shangyang's current office covers an area of more than 400 square meters. It is a huge flat floor. Standing here, you can overlook the entire TNG village. Although the chief building is not the tallest building in the entire TNG village, it is located in the TNG village. The most central part of the city, and the terrain is slightly higher than other places, it is very easy to see the whole situation. Now Shi Shangyang is almost 30 years old, but time does not seem to have left any traces on his face, and he still looks young and handsome. It's just that he has been in a high position for many years, which makes him full of the majesty of a superior. Even if he rarely shows this attitude, even if he just stands there quietly, he can't help but want to surrender. Advertisement, have you found the source of this news? Shi Shangyang asked. In front of him stood a young ninja, about 16 or 17 years old, wearing a standard Tanamura ninja suit with some mechanical beauty on it. The current Tien village has long abandoned the ninja vest and replaced it with the white Zetsu arm suit developed from the self-shaped human puppet. Just like what this young man is wearing, the white Zetsu arm suit is one piece, a bit like a biological battle armor. It fits the human body very well, and it is not heavy. Beauty. This is already the 6th generation product of white Zetsu armament. It integrates many biological characteristics of white Zetsu cells and the user's own genes. The perfect combination of the two makes this type of white Zetsu armament possess high-speed regeneration, chakra source, wood-style cells, and even the ability of white-eyed and Sharingan blood follower, can be said to be armed to the teeth. The cost of such a white Zetsu weapon is very high, and a set will cost nearly 10 million taels. Even with the wealth of Tien village, this 6th generation product is only listed in a small number of village ninjas. Every ninja wearing this kind of white Zetsu armament has the strength not weaker than cage level. To be precise, it is a proper cage level. Because to control this kind of ninja, the minimum requirement is the level of Genin, and the ninja armed with white Zetsu is now a pillar of the village in Tien Village. Just like this young ninja standing in front of Shi Shangyang now, he is the power of the new generation of the Uzumaki clan in Tien Village. He has a very outstanding talent. He became a Genin at the age of 13, and after more than a year and 2 years of nurturing, with his genes, he has cultivated this set of white Zetsu armament, and now he has a proper cage-level combat power. Sorry, the leader, the source of the news has not been found, but according to the judgment, the source of this news is likely to come from a ninja tribe in the village, the young man said. Shi Shangyang thought for a while, then nodded slightly. Is that so? I get it. Don't pay attention to this news. Don't think about changing the name of the village now. Let's talk about it in a few years. Yes, sir. Shi Shangyang casually changed the intelligence information in his hand and asked, is there anything important in the village recently? 35. With the development of the past few years, Shi Shangyang does not do everything by himself. Advertisement. In fact, with the increase of the population and the expansion of the village, Shi Shangyang began to gradually decentralize as early as 5 or 6 years ago, because the various structures of the village have been completed. Many things only need to be done step by step, and the last important news or intelligence will be collected to the secretariat, and after sorting, it will be handed over to Shi Shangyang for decision. He is now more responsible for handling the general direction of the village affairs, and he no longer needs to worry too much about the details, so he has not been as busy as he used to be over the years. The young man thought about it and said, the graduation season of ninja school is coming, and the Chunin exam should also be set. Shi Shangyang nodded slightly when he heard this. Really, it's already at this time, and the time goes by quite quickly in a blink of an eye. So about graduation, what's the ninja school's regulations? There is no special arrangement. It seems that there is no change from usual, except that the number of graduates this year has increased by 14% compared with the previous year. Shi Shangyang smiled a little when he heard the words. Often the changes in data are what he likes to see the most, especially every time the data increases, he will feel the intuitive changes brought about by the development of the village. Very well, the matter of graduating from the ninja school should be handled according to the previous practice. Instead, it is the Chunin exam. Some good changes should be made this year. He said and thought for a while, then said, let me inform Lin that I want to cooperate with other ninja villages to expand the scale of this year's Chunin exam, and have a joint ninja world exam, which will be located in our village. 35. The young man bowed his head. Yes, I will inform you immediately. Shi Shangyang nodded. At the secretariat, I have to trouble Jianfeng to worry more. I am very optimistic about you. The young man is called Vortex Jianfeng. He is an elite cultivated by the Uzumaki clan. He follows the battle sequence. We also have a reputation as a genius in our village. Now he is mainly responsible for the work of Shi Shangyang's secretariat, and he is one of his secretaries. In the current village, ninjas have been subdivided into 3 categories. The first category is the scientific research sequence, the second category is the production sequence, and the third category is the battle sequence. The traditional ninja in the ninja world is classified as a battle sequence. Chapter 294 The Tailed Beast Capture Plan, subscribe. After the matter was settled, Shi Shangyang stood up and came to the floor-to-ceiling window, looked up, and took most of the Tianji-kun into his eyes. Shi Shangyang's favorite thing to do now is to stand beside the floor-to-ceiling windows of his office and look at the city under his feet. A sense of accomplishment arises spontaneously. Tianji-kun was built by him from nothing, from weak to strong, little by little. This sense of accomplishment cannot be understood by others, and only people like him can understand it. The current Tianji-kun is no different from the big cities before he crossed, and if there is a difference, there are only some subtleties. There was no chakra in the previous life, and the chakra of the ninja world was integrated into every place in Tianji village. The development of more than 10 years naturally couldn't keep up with the development of the world before the crossing for dozens or hundreds of years, but from here you can see the crossing. The shadow of the previous world gave Shi Shangyang's lonely heart more or less sustenance. Drop, drop, drop. While thinking about the future, Shi Shangyang heard a beeping sound, took out a mobile phone-like thing from his pocket, put it in his ear, and a female voice suddenly sounded inside. I know, I'll be back in a while, okay. This is the phone, but it is different from the phone before the crossing. It uses the unique chakra signal of the ninja world, and the power supply to the mobile phone is not electricity, but its own chakra. After years of research, the village was finally able to develop this kind of communication attack. Although it still cannot reach the level of the mobile phone before traversal, the same call function can be achieved. In the follow-up, he also plans to use the slide body technique as the benchmark to let people develop video functions, but that is another story, and it is not so urgent for the time being. Mobile phones are a strategic material in TNG village, which is strictly controlled and prohibited from flowing out. The management in this regard is very strict. After all, this is the world of ninjas, but it is not a place of true peace. The peace of the past few years is only relative. This kind of thing that can change the mode of war has not yet met the requirements of spreading outwards. Therefore, in the short term, Shi Shangyang does not intend to use this thing to make profits. Anyway, there are enough things in TNG village to create profits, and there is no shortage of this. Shi Shangyang doesn't have much work now. Usually, he only comes to the office every 1 or 2 days to deal with the things that he needs to deal with. He usually stays at home. Now he is not alone, the one who just BEDB called him was his wife. That's right, he got married and it was none other than Terumi Mei. Advertisement. This girl still did not escape from Shi Shangyang's hand. He spent more than half a year attacking her, and finally succeeded in gaining his heart. Also because he married Terumi Mei, the cooperation between Tan Nomura and Mist Shinobi has been very close over the years. Now the whole ninja world knows that the relationship between Mist Shinobi and Tan Nomura is very good. To what extent? The kind of pants. After packing up, Shi Shangyang was about to leave the office, but the ground in front of him swelled slightly, and then a figure emerged from it. Armed in white zetsu, with a pale face, short green hair, and that iconic grin, it's no wonder who this man is. White Zetsu Extinction. Shi Shangyang's biggest intelligence chief, also in charge of the external intelligence of the entire TNG village, is Shi Shangyang's most useful subordinate. Why are you back? Is there any news? Shi Shangyang was slightly surprised. Except for the regular time to come back and report to work, this guy is rarely on the roads in the village, and basically he is wandering outside. In White Zetsu's words, it's not interesting in the village, but it's interesting outside. Compared to staying in the village, this guy now prefers to wander outside, change into various appearances, and do various interesting things. Shi Shangyang has no restrictions on this. He basically adopts a stalking policy for his subordinates, so that he can complete the assigned tasks, and he will not care about what he wants to do in the rest of the time. There is new news. I think you should be more concerned about the leader, so come back first. 99. White Zetsu smiled. The expression on his face was the same as before. Shi Shangyang had long been accustomed to his attitude, and said, "What kind of information?" "It's about the Akatsuki organization." Shi Shangyang was stunned. Shao organization and him were secretly connected, and the two sides had a secret communication mechanism, which did not require White Zetsu to worry about. "Tell me." White Zetsu grinned and said, "Yahiko took the initiative to find me. He said that the Akatsuki organization will launch a tailed beast collection plan recently. Please pay more attention." Advertisement. Shi Shangyang frowned and asked, "Why didn't he report this directly to me?" White Zetsu said, "Probably the guy from Black Zetsu. That guy has already started the awakening of White Zetsu. Every Akatsuki organization member has quite a few White Zetsu around, even Yahiko is no exception." "That's it." Shi Shangyang nodded. There are many White Zetsu in the ninja world. Shi Shangyang is clear. Now that Black Zetsu has begun to wake up the rest of the White Zetsu, it means that the Akatsuki organization is ready to start the task of capturing the tailed beast. It is normal for each member to be assigned some White Zetsu to help. As the leader of Akatsuki's organization, Yahiko can issue various orders to White Zetsu, but he can't show his connection with Shi Shangyang in front of White Zetsu, so Yahiko should be careful. After learning about this situation, Shi Shangyang said, "In this case, from now on, the matter of contacting Yahiko will be handed over to you, and if you have any information, come back and notify me in time." "Okay, sir." There is no nonsense about White Zetsu. After saying this, his body sank directly to the ground, and then disappeared. Yes, he is such a good man who loves his family. Shi Shangyang thought about it for a while, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Shi Shangyang thought about it, pressed a button on the desk, and said at the same time, "Notice, let the senior management come to a meeting in the afternoon. Please subscribe." The secretariat's response sounded immediately from the speaker next to the button. "Is there a plan to capture the tailed beast? It's already at this time flies really fast." He smiled and shook his head, and didn't care too much, because he knew that such a day would come sooner or later, and waiting until now was just for this moment. Shi Shangyang packed up and left the office. He had to go back for lunch. Chapter 295. Shi Shangyang's eldest son. Please subscribe. Shi Shangyang's house is no longer the small courtyard it used to be, and he doesn't have very high demands on his life, which stems from his own personality and his habits before crossing. Because before crossing, he was a relatively homely person. He only needed a room and a mobile phone with internet access. With such a foundation, he could live very easily. But now it can't be done, because he is also a family man now. When he is single, he can come as easily as he wants, but now that he has a wife, his living conditions naturally have to be improved. Therefore, his current residence is a large courtyard with 3 entrances. In his capacity, such a place was only normal, but he and Terumi Mei were satisfied, so he didn't ask for anything else. At first, Shi Shangyang came to treat Terumi Mei with the idea of marrying Miss Shinobi, but after they got together, Shi Shangyang didn't feel anything wrong. There were people waiting at home and people taking care of him. For men, this feeling is quite good. Don't look at Terumi Mei as a very powerful female ninja, the kind with strong talent and potential, and her status in Miss Shinobi is still very high. But thanks to the traditional education in the ninja world, after the two were together, Terumi Mei was really a good helper, especially in the aspect of husband and child, who did not bad at all. That's right, Shi Shangyang now not only has a wife, but also has children, or 2. 1 son and 1 daughter. The eldest son is named Shi Shangyu, and the daughter is named Shi Shangxi. The former is 5 years old, and the latter is 3 years old. Shi Shangyang was also his name before he crossed, but his surname was Shi, and his name was Yang. However, this is the ninja world, and it is generally a two-character name or a multi-character surname. Shi Shangyang can be regarded as a local, so he simply uses Shi Shang as his surname. It just so happens that the original surname is also Shi Shangyang, so it is not so troublesome. In other words, a man who has children is truly mature. This is also true for Shi Shangyang. At least he now understands the responsibility of being a father, so now he spends most of his time with his family, people. It is precisely because of this that he feels more identification and connection with the ninja world. Until this time, he really regards the ninja world as his home. I am back. Shi Shangyang entered the door and greeted him as usual. Welcome back, Yang-kun. Advertisement compared with a few years ago, Terumi Mei looks more mature, with all kinds of beauty exuding from the inside out. At this time, she looks at home and her smile is very gentle. Shi Shangyang also smiled. After marriage, the two of them lived a very stable life, but they felt a little respectful to each other. What about the children? He asked. We're waiting for you, Terumi Mei said. Shi Shangyang's smile didn't change. He changed his shoes and entered the house, where he saw a pair of children at the dining table. Father. The first to speak was his son Shi Shangyu. Thanks to chakra, children in the ninja world are generally precocious, so even though Shi Shangyu is not very old, he actually already understands a lot of things now. Father. The daughter waved her hands cheerfully to say hello. She was still young and looked very cute. Thanks to the excellent genes of both parties, this pair of sons and daughters have been cute since childhood, and his son Shi Shangyu is now a little handsome. Even if he is only in his early 5 years old, his height is now comparable to that of 6 or 7-year-old children. I don't know if it's because of him or Terumi Mei. Shi Shangyu's talent has been very good since he was a child. According to his test, this child was born with her mother's double blood, lava style and boil style. All are active. If this is the case, Shi Shangyu can also be considered a genius, but this child's talent, even Orochimaru's eyes are stunned, and he has asked Shi Shangyang for his blood more than once, wanting to use it for testing, but all was rejected by Shi Shangyang. His child, it is also he who wants to test, this kind of thing can't be borrowed by others. Shi Shangyu's talent is not only inherited from Terumi Mei's double blood, but also inherited from Shi Shangyang's blood. Many of Shi Shangyang's blood descendants come from the system card, but after the card is used, the blood descendants belong to Shi Shangyang. Since they are blood descendants, they can naturally be inherited through bloodlines. Perfect. In addition to lava style and boil style, Shi Shangyang also inherited magnet style and even wood style. Advertisement. This is already the 4 kinds of blood continuum, and if Shi Shangyang's Sharingan is included, it is 5 kinds of blood continuum. It's just that Shi Shangyu's Sharingan has not opened his eyes yet, because the conditions for Sharingan's eye opening are very harsh, and Shi Shangyang has not planned to stimulate Shi Shangyu to open his eyes. Sun was stimulated. For flowers. This is only Shi Shangyu's talent in the field of blood succession, and if physical talent is counted, it is even more incredible. Although Shi Shangyu is only 5 years old now, but the amount of chakra on his body is no less than that of Chunin. This is because of Shi Shangyang's intentional restriction, and he did not teach him too many cultivation methods, intending to let him have a complete childhood. Shi Shangyang agrees with a sentence. Some people will use their whole life to heal their childhood, and some people will use their childhood to heal their whole life. Shi Shangyang naturally hopes that his children are the latter. A perfect childhood will help a person's growth. A vital role. Shi Shangyang hopes that his children can have a sound and stable 3 views, so he will not use the ninja way to educate children. Point 0. Please subscribe. Inch. In order to verify his own thoughts, he started to smash the wool in the whole ninja world within a month after the birth of the eldest son, specializing in those blood ninjas. Peeled again. It is precisely because of this that the talent of the youngest daughter Shi Shangxi is even more exaggerated. Also because it is the first child of his 2 lifetimes, Shi Shangyang cares a lot about him. After the child was born, he checked him for the first time, and the blood on his body was also discovered at that time. When Shi Shangyang knew that his eldest son had so much blood on his body, he became interested in the children who might be behind him. Uchiha has more or less personality problems. Shi Shangyang naturally does not want his children to have any problems, so he has always been restrained in education. It is precisely because of this that Shi Shangyang is a little worried. This child will not be too stupid in the future, right? The eldest son has 5 kinds of blood pedigrees. If he has a little more blood pedigrees, will the following children have more blood pedigrees? So don't look at Ishigami Yu, who also has Uchiha's blood like him, but now he doesn't have the gloom of Uchiha at all, but looks very cheerful, but it is so similar to Uchiha Obito when he was a child.